here we go. Let's see. It says we are streaming. Okay. Oh, hey, you were streaming earlier. Cool. All right, so it looks like we might be rolling here. It says the bit rate is a little low, but I hope that's okay. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Let me know if the audio levels are a little bit out of sync. So I'm just going to double check my systems here. How's everybody doing today? Can you believe that the Nintendo Switch 2 finally got announced? That is exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of details added later that will make it absolutely worth it. Cool, that was your first stream. Nice, that's awesome. It's fun. It's fun just hanging out with people and chatting and just working on stuff. So today I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try doing a fair bit of programming while I'm here today, which is something that's kind of difficult to do on stream because it requires a lot of focus and it's not that interesting to watch programming. It's not like modeling or sculpting where you can show people something visual and they can talk about it. Programming is not cool like that. It's laborious and it looks boring for the audience. So while I'm programming, I'm going to have to try and split my brain in half and program on one side, and then on the other side of my brain, we can all just hang out and chat and have fun. I just need to be extremely careful about any proprietary information that I might accidentally show on screen, so I'm going to have to split my brain into thirds, and then a third of my brain is going to be paying attention to not leaking any information. So if you'll just give me a second here. I have multiple mice now that I have to keep in track. Okay, 1 second here while I pause this. Actually, how do I... This is going to be an interesting challenge, isn't it? Okay, alright, here we go. Okay, that's it. So, I'll just quickly show you what I'm working on. This is a framework called Fragment Domain, and it will be used for a bunch of my upcoming games. So really, there's so many games that I want to make. There's so many stories that I want to tell. I have pages and pages and pages of development notes, of games, of interesting concepts that I think are exciting, of stories that I think are interesting and fun, of characters that I think are just engaging. And it takes so much time to make a game. So I try to focus on creating frameworks. This framework is going to be used for a bunch of my upcoming games, and it's going to let me do it in a way where I can reuse a huge amount of programming. Things like, you know, dialogue boxes, inventory systems, save file systems, movement systems. So I have a bunch of placeholder graphics here right now. I'll show you a modular system that I use for characters in certain game styles. So depending on the game, like if you have a camera that's pulled way back, you can use an in-engine modular system that you as the developer can just quickly slap pieces of body parts together to make your characters. That is one approach that will allow you to quickly create a huge roster of characters, and that includes things like NPCs and playable characters, and you can use different components. Good to see you, everyone. Welcome. Good to see you. So again, that's what I'm working on. This framework is called Fragment Domain. Let me just create a higher resolution aspect ratio here. Let me see here. So we go like this. We'll hit plus. I have multiple screens here, so we'll just sort of... If I get mixed up, if you see nothing happening on screen, it's because I'm using the wrong mouse or the wrong keyboard. So we're going to make a new aspect ratio here that is independent of the resolution itself. When I'm developing on legacy platforms, if I can target it with Unity, then I will develop in that actual resolution. So again, these are placeholder graphics, and it's using extremely simple shaders because I want to target some older platforms. I don't necessarily want to talk about stuff, you know, but the Vita is one of the platforms that I'm targeting with this framework and my upcoming games. Hi, greetings from Australia. How you going, Lou821? Samurai Schultz, love your content, man. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. Hey, Glorberty Gerbson, good to see you. Swad Chowdhury, good morning. Thank you for everything you do. I'm so glad you guys are here. I just want to hang out. I want to talk about the Switch 2. And I'll do a bit of programming and on my game framework. So one of the things I want to accomplish with this game framework is extremely fluid movement and a feeling of smoothness when it comes to navigation and combat. So in this framework, I've disconnected the attack animations from the character's mobility. So as you see here, as I move around, I need to enable the jump button. I've disabled the jump button temporarily. But as you can see, the attack animations occur, and they occur regardless of your movement. So I need to also map the dodge button because I'm developing this on some legacy platforms, older consoles. So you can move around, you can turn. So you know how attacks have start? They have start frames, right? You can sort of start frame in one direction and then turn around mid-attack to attack enemies. This framework also lets you hold ZL to lock in one direction, but I haven't mapped the button for that. So I'm gonna go ahead, if I can bring the inspector over, that might make things a mess. Well, that's why we're here. Okay, we'll slap that on over here, and then hopefully there, I need to make sure I don't show anything that shouldn't be shown. Okay, so because I don't have that button mapped, what I'm going to do is just manually put that a Boolean value. I'm going to manually control it. I do not have a Switch 2 development kit, so I'm free to speculate, and we can talk about whatever we want because I don't know anything about the Switch 2. But I'm more than happy to hear what you guys think. 510 Deshaun, hey, cool, how's it going? You're a modder. What sort of stuff do you work on? That's pretty cool. There's logic in here like position to follow, so you can get an AI logic to follow an object. Let me see here. So I'm looking for I think it's is direction locked. So you can direction lock. I think no, it wouldn't be private. So I'm looking for Boolean values. Okay, is direction lock. So this is the script that governs the logic for the player. So I'm going to hit direction lock. Oh, you know what it is? Because it's checking if a button is not held. So we're going to... I need to figure out what button this is. I need to check my control panel settings. I need to figure out what number that is really quick here. Okay. You learned how to rig recently too. Hey, nice. That's awesome. That's so exciting. Once you can start rigging characters and you can make whatever characters you want. It gets so exciting. Okay. I'm going to check. Man, Windows is a mess. It sort of puts everything... Oh, man. It puts everything everywhere, doesn't it? Devices and printers. I don't understand why there's device manager and devices and printers. Okay. I just want to check my buttons here. Properties. This is button 5. Button 5. Button 5 will be our lock-on button. So we'll go ahead and put our control logic in there. So I just need to make sure that I don't screw anything up. Okay. Button 5. So, Z... You know what? I'll use ZL here. Get button, yeah, get button down. So instead of that, we're going to replace that. Oh, I had put debug code in there. Okay, so let's say lock on. Oop. Okay, so that is for ZL or ZL for Europe. Okay, we'll take that out. Previously, I was using button 4 as a test button there. Also, there's like some input delay on this, so it's it's a little bit trying on my patience. Okay, is there a Discord server we can all join and share the things we make? Yeah, you can join my Sungrand's Discord server. It might be in the description there. I think it's a missed opportunity to not call the Switch 2 router. I wanted it to be called the Swooch, you know, like the Wii U. Replace the I with a U, but it would have the 2 umlauts. And the reason why I want that is because the 2 umlauts and the U look like a happy face. Hey, Descents! Good. Thanks for coming to hang out. Good to see you. You learned to do rigging way back in 2010. It's gotten way easier. Oh, my goodness. Rigging was so frustrating in the late 2000s. I've been trying to, you know, learn and improve all that stuff over the years since the early 2000s. And in the early 2000s, that time sucked. Absolutely sucked. For 3D rigging. It was not fun at all. Okay, let me go ahead and just adjust the input settings now. So we go to project settings input. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to, oh, we got the jump button in there too. Okay, we'll map jump in there. We'll go ahead and just replace fire 3. Yeah. Swoosh, that's it. You got it. WW got it. That's what I want. And I like it because the umlaut over the U looks like a little happy face, and I think that would cheer people up. Okay, that was button 5, wasn't it? Okay, we're going to put that on walk on, and we want our jump logic on there. Let's see here. Confirm, cancel, start. I'm just gonna map that to Y for now. Let's go ahead. So with my control logic, I actually have 2 scripts. I have a controller called the Sungran controller. I'll go ahead and open that. This actually stores all the values, so it allows me to create control logic universally for any game console. So that just stores the basic stuff. You can see the state, whether a button is pressed, held, or released, and then you also have some value for motion. Magnitude, like if you shake the controller, the magnitude is the amount. Vector 3 is the motion, so you can also move it as well, but I need to also add some for, you know, the gyroscope rotation. Hasn't been important to me. And then I have different platforms, so all the platforms, like say for example PC, you know, the PS Vita, the 3DS, Wii U, have their own scripts, and those secondary scripts interface with the hardware. Whereas the game itself never interfaces with these control layers. These are called control layers. The game interfaces with that controller script that I just showed you, and then the control layer interfaces with the game hardware for the controllers. So that makes it extremely easy for me to create games and port them easily to different platforms without having to reprogram the entire control scheme because of these control layers. This is C#. It is my favorite programming language. Anyone that's done programming in other languages and has had a sucky time with programming languages that just kind of work against you a little bit will probably understand why I enjoy working in C# so much. You can work very fast. We're gonna map this to the Y button. Y, jump. Jump-oo. Okay, and now we'll go to our player logic. I need to reopen the player logic here and then enable the jumping because I've disabled it temporarily. What I really like about Unity is when you need to open the script, you can actually just double click on that and it'll open the script for you. I'm going to go Control F and jump. Made me not like programming. Looks like C#. What made you not like programming? It's tough. Like you need to learn one thing at a time, and if the first thing you learn is programming, it can get really brutal. I want to play your game. Hey, I've got a bunch of games. There's a bunch that you can play for free through my itch.io, and then if you enjoy my games and if you like the vibe, you can pick them up on Switch. I'm bringing stuff to Steam. I haven't put Clash of Ball on Steam because I want my first Steam launch to be a little bit more substantial. Clash of Ball is an action puzzle game, and I know that doesn't click with everyone. Not everyone likes puzzle games, you know? And so I want to make sure that my Steam launch is something that's a bit more universal, that anyone can jump into and just play and enjoy. Clash of Ball is really, it was my, my sort of love letter to early 2000s puzzle games that had just like the weirdest ideas. You know, you sort of go into an arcade and you see the most absurd fun concepts, but they don't always click with everyone. And I want my first Steam game to be something where everyone can just jump into it, you know? Okay, so I need to perform jump. So where do I have that happening? Control, find. I need to find my logic here. I've removed it. Okay. See, the chat is actually covering a portion that I need. I need to see on that side here. Okay, I know where my control logic is here. This is my control logic. Okay, I have the X button there just in case it doesn't map correctly. We can test it. Okay, so we've enabled that attempt perform jump, and then I'm going to run it, and then we'll see what we get. Okay. So I've got my my Data Frog, a third-party controller. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I bought this. This isn't like a high-quality controller. It's like, I got it from AliExpress. I think it was 20 bucks, 25 bucks. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get it because it was good quality or anything. I got it because it has cool colors around the analog stick. And I just needed something for testing, and I like the colors, so there you go. You want a waifu prime minister. Oh, what do you think of the Halo games? I'm bad at them. And it's mostly because all throughout growing up, my friends had Halo and I didn't. So whenever I went over, they were already very proficient at the game. And the only time I played Halo was at the house of friends that I went to. And okay, that didn't map correctly. That didn't map correctly at all. Okay, so that logic isn't working. So let's just hold that. Why isn't that working? You're supposed to be able to lock to a direction. The cool thing about these languages is that once you get one under your belt, it's a lot easier to understand the next. Absolutely. It's the fundamentals that all come together and translate from one language to another. So this is being weird. I don't understand why this is being so weird here. Okay. Actually, none of my buttons are... So there's something wrong with the controller. Let's say, for example, I can manually trigger... So this is that Sun Gang controller that I said, like, if I press B, you'll see him perform an attack. So I was pretty sure I mapped jump to the Y button. Oh, no, it's on a different weapon right now. That's right, it's mapped to a different attack. That's a different attack as well. Let's see, L. If I click that down... Okay, see? Now he has direction lock. So there's an issue with this controller. Maybe I should have bought a better quality controller instead of one based on color, huh? Back from Home Depot, are you still deeping? Well, you know what? Australia is a beautiful place for snorking and deeping. So you can see, you hold the L button, right? And you can lock to a direction. So if they say, for example, like there's enemies in front of you and you want to lock there, so you just hold the L button and then you're always facing that direction. And then you can attack, but for some reason, you saw it working earlier. I was pressing B and it wasn't working. But, you know, that way you can move smoothly, and then of course movement does not affect your fighting. So even though you have end lag on your attacks, your mobility is not affected, and then you can still keep moving around. I have these objects here to test the hitbox logic, but I'll show you the hitbox logic on this guy here. What do you think of Zelda CDI games? I've played them on an emulator. I don't have the actual... A friend of mine does have the actual... I think he has 2 of the Zelda CDI games physically. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you the I'm gonna show you the spaghetti hitbox data here. Okay, so he's still strafing, right? So we want to manually remove that. Take that out. And you can see he snaps back to his normal movement now. So if you have a look way, way, way over there, you can see those dark green spheres. Those are what his attack looks like. So I can show you the logic in a little bit, but anytime you equip a weapon with this framework, it adds the graphic to the character's weapon holder, and then it adds the action rig. The rig contains all of the hitbox data and the actual data in terms of how strong it is, you know, what sort of like the stun damage, the knockback, all that stuff is stored in the action rig. The weapon itself does not store that logic because it doesn't need to in this framework. So I'll show you, when you press the A button is what you use to check on events, right? So if we click that there, you can see that if you have a look at the character, one of the small spheres illuminates briefly. That is what I call a check zone. And a check zone is what you use to activate, like you want to talk to an NPC, or you want to open a treasure chest. I don't know what this event does. I'll go ahead and just move it in front of the player character here. Oh, the event activates on touch. There we go. And then we'll go back to the character here. And then we go back to the control logic because for some reason it's not responding to the controller. And then if we hit the A button, you should make Silverfall CDI. Oh, I absolutely want to. Yeah, I want to make homebrew for CDI. I think I checked recently. I wasn't able to find a dev kit, like the software, an SDK, software development kit. I wasn't able to find one for CDI, but if one turns up, I will happily use one. I do have a dev kit for, like, the most absurd one I have is for the Hyperscan. I also have it for the Vectrix, so I'd really like to make Vectrix games. So you can see this is the activation zone. If those colliders collide, then an event activates. So I'll go to the player logic here. And again, keep an eye, you're going to see that small sphere illuminate briefly, and it will collide with that event. So I'll go ahead and show you the control logic here. You press the A button, and you can see that an event has occurred. And then I also got handgun ×5. Iwata made me want to be just like him. He's such a huge inspiration to everyone. What an incredible person. Yeah, I would like. I mean, I would like for him to still be alive. That would have been great. But by the time I started working with Nintendo as a developer partner, Iwata was already gone, and it was such a shame because he had so much more to contribute to the games industry. So yeah, you can see. So watch the green, now the large green sphere. When I press B, it will perform an attack animation, and you will see that illuminate. And that illumination is what allows attacks to interact with enemies. See that? It's you see it becomes brighter. That means that it's activated. Okay, and now let's go ahead and watch that interact with something. We'll just go up to, this is what I refer to as a combatant, and I will explain that to you. A combatant is anything that you can interact with on a combat level. So you can see he's well within my hitbox range, right? So if I activate the B button now, he will be affected by that hitbox, or it's a hit sphere. It's a collider. It's a hit collider. And you'll see him take a little bit of knockback. There we go. Now, in my games, especially, you know, with Silver Falls, but in this one as well, I have something called an armor system. There's an internal armor value. So your weapons don't necessarily flinch the enemies unless you deplete their armor health. And that's for balancing reasons, because, you know, have you ever played a game where you can just use a cheap, cheesy small weapon and stun lock an enemy, and then they can't fight back? You just stun lock them. So the reason why I use armor values, it's a hidden HP value, is that you cannot flinch the enemy unless you deplete their armor, and it's hidden. And so certain weapons deal more armor damage, so that way you cannot stun lock the enemies. That makes it so certain weapons are more useful than others. Like a small weak weapon can still be useful because it can deal more armor damage, so you can alternate between a small weak weapon and then a bigger heavy weapon. If you just rely on a bigger heavy weapon, particularly in my Silver Falls games, then the enemy will outspeed you and then you'll get hit. So by hitting the enemy a couple times with a small weapon and then using a heavy weapon, that will finish off the armor HP, and then as you'll see here, you'll watch the enemy get knocked back. So watch what happens here. He'll take knockback, whereas before he wasn't taking huge knockback damage. You can see I've knocked him back a huge amount now, and that's because I've depleted the armor HP. So that's what I consider when it comes to battle systems. It just makes it more interesting as opposed to having fixed knockback and fixed flinch values that cause you to stun lock enemies. And then it's boring, right? Because then why not just spam your fastest attack? What's the game you've played the most? recently or forever. If it's forever, oh, maybe Final Fantasy VII? It's tough. It's so tough. Yeah, maybe Final Fantasy VII is the one that I've played the absolute most. Recently, I play Smash Bros. Because I work so much that I really can only play games in small chunks of time. Is that your favorite Final Fantasy, Phantom GB? Honestly, it's smart to remove stun locking. Stun locking is so frustrating, and it's. But I'm a gamer, right? So when a game has it, like if I'm getting my ass kicked in a game, and I'm in a tough spot, I'm out of health items, especially if it's a game like Silent Hill 2, where it's like, I'm running out of resources, man. If I can stun lock an enemy and get out of a situation, of course I'm gonna do it, right? Because I'm a gamer, I'm gonna take every advantage. But at the same time, you know, sometimes it's nice to have just a bit more complexity. Is that the Nintendo Switch 2 controller? No, this is a cheap third-party controller that I got from AliExpress. It's not special or great, and the reason I bought it is because it has cool colors under the analog sticks. That's it. I only use it for testing and development. Did you look more into Christian? No, I didn't. How many mugs you got? I don't know, a bunch. So there's something I do have to fix here. So something of logical flaw is that when you take damage from a hitbox, as you can see, you know, these colliders there, that big collider sphere. If I hit that, it'll activate. You can see it becoming lighter for a second. It adds knockback to the enemy. And the reason why it adds knockback instead of replacing knockback is, one, it's more realistic, and two, it's cooler to add knockback instead of overriding. So this framework that I'm developing will allow for up to 4 players to play in co-op, or even versus if you want. I can make whatever I want with this. So say, for example, you have your character, you've hit an enemy with a big attack, and then he gets knocked back hard, and then you have your friend who's playing, and then your friend hits the enemy, and then hits him, and then it adds the knockback direction and force. So it's adding knockback as opposed to replacing it, and it's cooler. It's just more satisfying from a gameplay perspective. It's more realistic, but what I forgot to do in my logic is that it is not resetting the knockback. So what it's doing is it's actually stockpiling the force. So there's an invisible hitbox here that I added for testing, and let's see if I can find where I put that there. No, someone's holding it. Okay, but if I walk towards that yellow thing, you'll see me get knocked back pretty hard, right? And every time I touch that, because there's an invisible hitbox, all hitboxes are invisible, aren't they? But every time I touch that, it's going to knock me back harder and harder because I'm not resetting the knockback value. Players could ping pong enemies to each other. Absolutely, you got it. And that's like a fun, cool, you know, aspect of cool mechanic. So you and a friend, you know, as you're playing, you just bully an enemy, basically. And that's fun. Do you have Switch 2 dev kit? I don't. I do not right now. So, you know, you can see it's destroying me every time I touch this hitbox. So let's go ahead and fix that now. So every time we get hit, I'll see if I can show you the logic here. I think it would be interesting to share this with you. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Again, anything that can engage in combat has a script called the fragment domain combatant. The combatant contains all of the logic required to engage with the battle system. You can see I can change the alignment so that I can make players immune to each other. I can make, you know, the combatant an enemy or make it neutral. Let's go ahead and open our script now, and then we'll fix that faulty logic that we had in there. Okay. Let me just close. I need to close things because I actually do need that section that the chat's covering. Okay. Okay, we are in the combatant now, and we're going to go accept damage. So we want an on-trigger enter. We want to check the layer. You don't want to check every single object because you will cause slowdown. So I check specifically for the layer, which is for attacks. Do you think this could work in a fighting game? It sounds like a cool mechanic, but I don't know if it would be that fun. I think it would work in a beat 'em up. I don't know if it would work in a... It would be frustrating in a fighting game, wouldn't it? But it's fun to consider these things, to think about it. What's your favorite Smash Bros? Ultimate. And I play a lot of different characters because it's so much fun. But I really like the Ice Climbers. They're just fun. I don't do the desyncing thing. I'm not good enough to do that. Arvind Wee, hi, welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out. Can you suggest a mechanic idea? Sure, shoot it out there. This is Unity, that's right, yeah. So, Battle Action is a script that contains all the logic, you know, the damage, the stun time, knockback. Okay, so you want to check for the alignment, make sure it's not the same alignment. Okay, and then you accept the damage. Now, this is where we check for knockback. Let's see here. Now we need to find the knockback logic. So you see you have knockback force is +3, and we are not resetting it. So we invoke a function called end knockback. So let's go ahead and find end knockback. And when we find end knockback, that is where we will reset the knockback force. So let's go ahead and knockback force is equal to 0. Now, let's go ahead and run it, and it should work the way we expect it now. What kind of realism in terms of combat can add to a game, and what do you think can harm a player's experience? Realism is not important for an enjoyable game experience. If the point of your game experience is to provide realism like a simulator, then that's where resembling something that people would relate to in real life, that is when that is important. But overall, realism is not important in general when it comes to creating an enjoyable game experience. What is important is a thoughtful implementation of gameplay mechanics and the way in which the player understands and interacts with those. What would harm from a player's experience is for the developer to focus too hard on trying to make things realistic and match reality, because that's not fun. That is not what contributes to a fun experience, nor does it contribute to a fluid experience. So, does that answer your question? Okay, so you should add in a Latin that goes out leaving you blind, and you have to light it with depleting matches. What's a... Oh, a lantern. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I like those, like sort of exploring an environment. Yeah, those are fun. I really enjoy those sort of resource management mechanics, especially in survival type games. So you can see it's always a fixed amount of knockback now. It is no longer knocking me away farther and farther. So we fixed it. Yeah. Yeah, Phantom GB is right. We get reality by going outside, and going outside is just not fun. Well, I mean, like, you can do fun things, but just having reality, just having realism, that's not necessarily fun on its own. Have you ever played Lethal Company? I don't know what Lethal Company is. Should I look it up? Am I gonna get not safe for work stuff? What is Lethal Company? Lethal Company. Put that on the screen here. No, I don't know what this is. It's a man in a suit. Looks like a sort of an online multiplayer game. Yeah, that looks fun. I haven't played it. Have you guys played it? This reminds me of an old 90s game called Spooky Castle Abandonware. Oh, Abandonware is so fun to explore. Spooky Castle, huh? What was that? I'm missing some chat. The chat's moving pretty fast. Thoughts on weapons bouncing off the environment when attacking? It depends on the game. If it's something that the player can understand and control, like, for example, the way that it's used in Castlevania or Mega Man games, there's often weapons that bounce off and you can ricochet. It's satisfying, right? When you hit an enemy with like a magic orb that bounces off a wall twice and then hits the enemy, how satisfying is that? Give the player a way to engage with the gameplay mechanics in a manner that requires them to have high proficiency, and that is exciting. Now, I'm trying to figure out, because this was working earlier, the controller was interfacing correctly. And now, it is not. It's broken. I've broken it. So yeah, with this again, this system is designed so that I can create action-adventure games very quickly. I can do story events. I can script them easily. I'll show you how that works. I'll do that next. You can lock direction, and then attacking does not stop your character's mobility. So you have full mobility. You can do jumps and everything. I need to remove some logic here so I can enable jumping. Let's go ahead and fix that. Oh, you know what? I put that logic. This isn't even being referenced. That's not. I'm not even using that one. Combatant. I need to. It's not being. Is it referenced in the player script? Yeah, let's go to our player script. So the player script interfaces with a control layer. Okay. Perform dash. You know, let's just go ahead and put some. We'll just put some controls in there just so I can show you what it looks like. So, there's so many scripts open right now. But I will be bringing a bunch of these action-adventure style, you know, exploration, fun adventure games to the Vita as well. I'm a huge Vita fan, and so I want to bring just a ton of new games to that in terms of free homebrew. Let's see here, perform dash. Okay, let's go ahead and just do this, or that. And then, you know, there's other legacy platforms that I want to bring homebrew to as well. Okay, we have a button pressed Y. B is attack. Y. So this is searching for a weapon that has been equipped, but I'm just going to hide that for now. Combatant.attempt perf. Where's my jump? Where's my jump? Attempt perform jump. I think it's not public. We're gonna need to make this public. So you can see that's not public, that's why it can't reference it. Let's go ahead and open that. So this is my first time programming on stream, and I haven't done it before because I think it's pretty boring to watch, but I don't know, people ask me to do programming on stream here, so I don't know, what do you guys think of it? I normally do 3D modeling because it's just more fun to watch, you know? Stony Rivers, hey, how's it going? I'm just having fun hanging out with my fellow gamers here. Oh, like the Dreamcast? Oh yeah, I want to bring stuff to the Dreamcast. That'll be so awesome. Attempt perform jump. I really love the flash cartridges, and I don't use the word love lightly. That's such an important, you know, word. But I love flash cartridges because it lets me make games and put them and actually play it on original hardware. So you normally use love for, you know, people you really care about, your friends, your family. But I love flash cartridges. Tiger LCD handheld SDK. Well, one of my latest Silver Falls game that I launched on the Switch is Silver Falls Guardians and Metal Exterminators, and there's 3 game modes in there, and 2 of them are like Tiger Electronics games, just to, you know, an homage to those. What code editor are you using? This is Visual Studio. It's free. Everyone gets to use it. Cool. I'm glad you guys are fun hanging out. Showing the workflow of programming is important. It's a huge part of game dev, and I feel like it's avoided too much. We could talk about, you know, more of this stuff. What do you think of Action 52? Look, I love playing janky old games. There's fun to it. Of course, I want to play good games, right? But you want to play all games. You want to play the janky stuff as well. Okay, hold on. Let's put a debug. So this is debug logic, and you can come back and remove it later on. Here we go. Thoughts on low pixel and nudity, violence, and goofy games? It's an excellent way to express an idea because, again, when it comes to video games They are a form of communication and entertainment, and realism is not what is important. Expression is what is important. If you are expressing a feeling, if you are expressing an idea, and you get that across, and the way that the viewer or the player, the way that they feel, if the way they feel is what you wanted them to feel, then you have done your job, and the way that you have presented your ideas was an effective way to do that. So having like pixelated, low definition graphics with nudity, that's an excellent way to get the idea across of nudity without reaching into territory where you would end up creating something that's upsetting for people to look at, or would get you an age rating that would reduce your audience. Okay, so if my debug code does work. Okay, cool. So if I press Z, I can jump, and again, you can attack and jump freely. Jumping does not negatively affect your ability to attack. So there could be a degree of platforming. There's obviously room in this game framework for air dashing, double jumping. You can do whatever you want with it, you know. You can see you've got this dodge maneuver, so I'll get in the air, and you can actually combine those actions together, and then you can also attack, you know. So there's so much room in this framework that I'm creating for mobility options, and again, freedom of attack that just feels so fluid and fun, you know. And of course you can lock two-way direction and deal with enemies that way. And again, this framework will handle up to 4 players. Hey, did you see my monster idea? Sorry, can you post it again? The chat's moving fast. What's your worst glitch that came up in a game you made? John Bowling. Do you mean worse or like fun? Because I've had fun ones which I really like. The worst one, see, a glitch would be my fault. So I'm trying to think of something that I've done that was my fault. Let me think. But if you're talking about glitches that, say for example, were not my fault and there was really nothing I could do about it, would be using Unity to create Nintendo 3DS games, because the SDK was so broken, and it was the only development environment I had. So using Unity for 3DS, every time you switch to a scene, if you need to load a new scene to change the environment in Unity. And in Unity 3DS, every time you switch scenes, basically the game would leak memory, and there was nothing you could do about it. And it reached a point with my first commercial title, and my biggest game so far is Silver Falls 3 Down Stars. And what happened later in development, like the bigger your game gets in Unity for 3DS, Unity would just start like breaking stuff. It would just corrupt data, it would corrupt code, it would break so many things, and there was absolutely nothing you can do about it. And what happened when I was at the end of development was that Unity would not let me load scenes in a particular sequence. So say for example, you go to the title screen and you select load save file. If the player had saved in a certain scene, the game would not let you load. It would just crash. And there is nothing you could do about it. It had nothing to do with the developers. It was nothing that I did. There was nothing I could do to fix it because Unity for 3DS was just broken. And so I had to find a workaround. And the way that I created a workaround was, instead of asking the game to load from the title screen into the room where the player saved the game goes from the title screen to a blank white room. And this blank white room just happened to accidentally exist in a part of the game's storage memory where it could then load the next room without crashing. And that was the only way I could solve that. There was no way that I could get the game from the title screen to say, please just load to the room where the player saved. It would freeze and it would crash. And so I created a white room, but then that white room has kind of become iconic. And people that love, you know, Silver Falls are like, oh yeah, that room was just so unsettling, you know. And they, you know, people thought that was just a part of the lore of how it all worked. But no, I created that blank white room to load into the other rooms because that was the only way I could get Unity 3DS to work. So that was one of the worst. I'm not sure if that's the worst. There's other stuff like that's so frustrating. These are placeholder graphics while I'm working on a framework for creating action-adventure games. Oh man, that's development hell. Yeah, you're right, it's absolute hell. I've been there before, and as much as I love making workarounds, it gets real tiresome when you just want to get something done. Yeah, you get it. You absolutely get it. You just want to make the game, but it's like this with every single game engine, every development environment. Sometimes things are just broken, and that's how it is. Notch, you've really gotten in shape, and I see the Florida weather is giving you a healthy That was sick though. Do you think that's why Pokemon games did that? I'm not sure. I know that Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl, did I get that right? Brilliant Diamond? Uh-oh. It's making it look like I don't like those games. I do like them. Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl. I'm getting that wrong. Brilliant, Shining Diamond, Brilliant Pearl. Okay. I know those were made in Unity by Ilka. They were not made by Game Freak, but I don't know anything behind the scenes about Pokemon's development environment at Game Freak. I try to run garbage collection after every scene load. Yeah, that's a good idea. Even though Unity should do it, Unity is still really kind of awful at that. And it's like every engine has strengths and weaknesses. You just learn to work with it and avoid issues. Okay, so let me... Oh, you know what? I'll show you some logic for how weapons work. I really enjoy the scriptable objects in Unity, so I'll show you that. Let's see. I'll bring my project... Can I bring my project pane over here? Not P-A-N-E. P-A-N-E. Failure to nerd detected. I did fail. I'm not even confident if I got those names right, but for real, now is the time to predict what Minecraft 2 will be and get at. I think that'll be awesome. Whatever, you know, of course, you know, Notch, did he say that it was sort of a spiritual successor because he doesn't own the rights to it? I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Look, he made the first Minecraft. He'll probably come up with something really cool. Okay. I'll show you the database for weapons here, and I'll show you how it can be applied. So, say for example, I think right now I have the stick equipped to the player. So if we look at this information here, anytime I want to create a new weapon, I'll just go like this. Right-click, create fragment domain, which is the name of the framework that I'm creating right now, and weapon. And then you can call it whatever you want. You know, you can make a new thing. But right now we're looking at stick. But you can see here, I use the file name to load in. I don't reference the prefab. Here's a mistake that you would make if you were not hugely experienced with Unity in the way that it works. Every engine has its quirks. Unity certainly has quirks. You wouldn't be, you know, you'd be excused for mistaking that, oh, I should grab a prefab and I should reference the prefab. What that actually does, it means that the assets for that object are always loaded into memory. And when you have a high fidelity game, or if you have a low amount of RAM on the hardware, you are stressing out your resources because you've loaded all of the assets into memory because that has referenced a prefab. All the graphics, all the sound effects, all the logic, everything already is loaded into memory, and you'll crash out. So, especially if you're on older legacy hardware like 3DS or PS Vita. So what I do, instead of referencing a prefab, is I just put the file name in there, and then I load the file name in from the resources. So that way it is only loaded in at the time when you need it. Okay, so I'll show you the logic here. You put the name, you can have the description, and developer notes. And that's just important for me. The game will never, you know, show that. Which version of Unity editor is this? This is Unity 5. It's extremely old, and the reason I use 5 is because it is the fastest version of Unity. I can create games in this significantly faster than Unity 2019. Unity 20 and up is absolutely broken because it keeps stopping to do things. It's like, hold on for a second, let me do this in the background. You're sitting there like, why do I have to wait? The editor is just snappier, it's faster. I prefer to work in 5. It's just more lightweight. And then when I need to bring it to other platforms, then I change Unity versions. But also I use 5 so I can target older platforms. Again, I love doing games for older platforms, and 5 can target some older platforms. Would you Risk guy, oh wow, I thought those prefab links were lazy loaded. That's crazy. Yeah, I thought that's how it was, and I figured out because I was creating games for 3DS, and Silver Falls 3 Down Stars is huge. It is absolutely massive. It is a huge game. Like, people have DM'd me and told me they put like 400 or 500 hours into Silver Falls 3 Down Stars on the 3DS, and they're still playing it, you know? And I'm kind of saying, like, I really appreciate that, you know, but come on, there's a bunch of other Silver Falls games too, you know, try those. But there's something special about 3 Down Stars that people just really love, you know. It's got so much stuff in it. All right, so you can control the damage output, but I'm like that, right? Like, obviously I enjoy modern games, and I really like that, but I'll go back and I'll play, you know, Final Fantasy VII, because that's the one I really like. I'll play the original Link's Awakening because I just really like it. And it's not that, oh, I don't like the new stuff. I like the new stuff just fine, but it's nice going back and just playing. Sometimes you have a personal connection to a game, like you just really connect with it, you know? You're still using 2022. Man, 2022 is so slow for me. It's really frustrating using it. You have your stun time there, but again, how I mentioned that there's hidden armor values, so you can't flinch the enemy unless you break their hidden armor HP. And that's, I've misnamed it here. I need to rename it. It says knockback damage. That should be armor damage. And then, of course, if you click left-handed, that will put the weapon graphic in the character's left hand instead of the right. So if your character is equipping a bow, you'll put the bow in the left hand. Double-handed means that it will spawn the prefab in each of the hands. So say, like, you know, double knife, double gun, you click that and it'll put the graphics in both the hands. Requires ammo type. You can specify whether the weapon requires a certain type of ammo, and then you can have an ammo system in the game. You can also specify the limited clip capacity. So say, for example, I wanted a gun, so I could have limited clip capacity. Could be handgun, and then the reload time is 2 seconds if I wanted. But that depends. Once you start introducing aspects like that, the game changes from less of an action game and more into a resource management, say for example, like a survival horror game. You can use the addressables package with asset reference to reference assets and can do the manual loading. Oh, nice, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. You use 2023 and it's buggy as hell. Hey, Adam, good to see you. I hear you. The new versions of Unity, they're always less stable, but sometimes it's just so frustrating, you know? Will that change hitboxes? What about fists? Yeah, you can create a weapon that's fists. Absolutely. So I'll show you that here. So action instances. So an action instance is basically a chain in a combo. This weapon supposedly can combo, you know, up to 4 times. So that's the first hit. This logic allows me to control what each hit in the combo does, and I can change it a little bit. So you can select the animation here. So if you have the stick, you can make it whatever you want. If you want your weapon to be a fist type weapon, you know, there you go. Punching. There you go. So you can change all of that stuff. This also allows you to create weapons that can, in their combo chain, do a bunch of different stuff. So that has access to the animations there. This is where I define the frame data. I would really like to replace this logic with a visual interface so I can drag sliders around. I could do that in the future. I don't really need it, but it would look cool. I know that newer Unity versions have really fancy graphics features, but the UI keeps deteriorating. I hear you. It gets slower and slower. It takes forever. Like, opening a blank project in Unity could take like 10 minutes. And then for some reason, opening my bigger projects, it takes like sometimes 15, 20 minutes to open a bigger project. So I have to go and do other stuff while I open the project. Building projects takes significantly longer on newer versions. So that is why I keep using Unity 5. I create the vast, I would say like 95% of my game development I do in Unity 5, and then when I need to bring it to the target platform that I'm shipping the game on, then I'll put it into the newer versions of Unity. And at that point, the game's already done. I've finished most of the development. And this is stuff that allows me to have weapon proficiency. So say, for example, I want a character to be proficient with firearms, or you have skills that can increase a character's ability. Say, for example, you have a skill that says, like, oh, you know, when this character equips this skill, they get plus 15% damage on their handgun, Okay, well then I click that, and then the game will know this is a handgun, the character has the skill, they get the 15% boost, you know, or this character gets plus 30% fire attacks when they're jumping. So the game knows, oh, the character's jumping, any attack that is labeled with fire gets a 30% boost. You know, so you can have all sorts of dynamics of skills. I feel like I'm Italian now with the amount of moving my hands. I just feel like I need to focus my hand movements a little bit. Application.update scene randomly for 20 minutes. Oh, I know. I was forced. I finished Guardians and Metal Exterminators for the Switch on 2019, which was still a very good version of Unity. And when I tried to submit it, I had to resubmit it with the latest version of Unity, which broke a bunch of things in my game, and I really was not happy about it. Need to crowdfund this game to get a computer capable of opening the file. I have tried doing that before with transitioning a project to a new version, and some things breaks in the process. Yeah, I've been using Unity so much that I know how to avoid breaking things. And so I automatically implement that stuff subconsciously in my workflow. So going up normally is not a problem. It's going back that is a huge problem. So let's just go ahead and look at the character logic as well, and I can show you what this looks like. Did you already talk about the Switch 2? I don't have a Switch 2 development kit, so I don't know anything about it. So let's talk about it. If you look at the trailer, I just posted a video, like maybe an hour ago, but you get a good look at the sensor inside. There is an optical sensor. This is a Joy-Con 1, not a Joy-Con 2. But there looks to be an optical sensor, but there are two sensors in there. I think one is a proximity sensor. So I want to make games where you use the optical sensor to sort of control either a ship or a character, but then you sort of lift up, and that makes your character sort of hover in the air because you can control the elevation of your in-game character using the proximity sensor. I think that is what the Switch 2 is going to have. I want to make like cool sort of party games, right? It's obviously multiplayer where you sort of have to like push things like that. And because you have fine control over the optical sensor, you could make games that require absurd levels of precision. And I think that'd be really fun. Hey, Tim B, how's it going? He knows what the C button does. The C button produces a cookie for you. There's a cookie dispenser that Nintendo didn't show, but you have to load the cookies in ahead of time. You push the C button, it shoots a little cookie out the bottom. I would love to make something using it. I think it'd be so much fun. This is super relaxing to watch. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. Let me check that. Is the music all right? Is the music too loud or too quiet, or just let me know? I'll play some chill music here. There we go. I wanted it to bake the cookies for me. You can redirect the heat, you know, that's part of how they're redirecting the heat. Like Star Fox on Wii U. Yeah, you got it. Do most companies have you used the most recent engine when you already built the game on an older one? They don't normally do that. I need to be careful because of NDAs, but normally there's a wide range of versions that you can use. But for some reason, well, we know why. It's Unity. Unity at the time was under, you know, the tyranny of John Riccitiello. But he's gone. Unity has done good by their users by getting rid of John Riccitiello. But it was at that point, and I think it was his fault, where he said no more using the old versions, force people to use the newer versions of Unity. And you know, it's not Nintendo's responsibility or you know, anything for Nintendo to say you can't use that. It's Unity that in that case, that's why I had to force it to use a newer version of Unity that broke my game, and it was so disheartening. Does the Switch have a camera? The Switch 2? Are you saying Switch 2? I don't know. We don't know. The USB port on top of the Switch 2, they might make a camera accessory, and if so, I'm totally gonna make games. Absolutely. I want to use cool features. I just want tons and tons of cool features. Hey, Phantom GB, thanks for hanging out. Take care. We'll see you. Yeah. If you're still, if you come back and we're still here, come hang out. People are jokingly speculating it's Nintendo trying to grip the emulating PC audience, which is funny because I'm sure most Switch users emulate too. I don't know. Obviously, you can use it like a mouse, and that's going to help a lot for point-and-click games. I think it's going to be awesome, it's going to be exciting, but I really want to use that optical sensor as a control mechanism for high-precision games. It's going to be so fun. There's so much you can do. Tyson, you can hire Corin Bush now for your studio. He left from BioWare. I am a solo developer, and I want to make sure that the vision that I bring to gamers is something that I fully believe in, and that is purely from my mind, what I think is extremely cool. And I'm a solo developer because I want to make sure that it's 100% true to my vision. And when you work with people, you know, it's only fair to collaborate, right? When you're working in a team, and people should have a say in what gets made. And obviously you have the director that brings that all together into a vision. But the games that I'm making, I want to be true to my vision and what I believe in and what I care about. What is the name of the music in the background you're using? This is called Waiting for the Sun to Rise. I wrote this for Silver Falls Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers. It's the very last Nintendo 3DS game. It was extremely difficult to make. I had basically 2 months. I had 2 months to build this game entirely and finish it. And it was frustrating because it's actually 2 games in one. Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers comes packaged with Ruby River. And they're 2 full games. There was a lot of, I stayed up a lot of nights. I didn't sleep at all because I had to work with Nintendo to get the game launched. And the game was only available on the eShop for like a week and a half. So Nintendo moved mountains to get this game launched because they really believed in it. You can't buy the game now because the eShop is closed, but I am bringing the game to Nintendo Switch. Obviously, I cannot support piracy. I cannot support modding your 3DS console. But if you happen to find the ROM for Silver Falls Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers for the 3DS, if you happen to find it, it's not... I'm cool, man. If you want to play the game, I would be happy if you got to play and enjoy my game. So, you know, I can't support piracy, but I'm cool, man. It's cool. I'm gonna grab a soda. Not a soda. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna pause. I will grab a coffee. This has gone cold here. Ah, man. I typed coffee into the notepad. Okay. Okay. All right. I will be right back. I am just going to grab a coffee. Okay. Okay, and we are back. Okay. Such a nerd. I love it. Coffee and smoke break. I don't smoke. I've never had a cigarette. I'm not a smoking man. Is this a stream to ask devs some questions and meet people to make game collaborations? I don't know. You guys can collab if you want. Feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to answer if you've got questions. What is your favorite anime? Oh man, it's probably, it's tough. It's changed over the years. It's gonna be a tie between One Piece and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. But in the past, I would have told you that it was Dragon Ball Z, or I would have told you it was Gundam Wing. But sometimes you experience new media, and then it knocks out your first place, and then you've got a new number one, you know. Oh, okay. Adam314. I just released my first game. Any tips for marketing? Hey, nice. And getting big content creators to make a video on a game. I feel like I already emailed everyone in my genre. It gets harder to market. I have a difficult time with that as well. I don't know. I wish I could say that I could offer you helpful advice on that, but the industry culture is constantly shifting, and it is difficult to talk about your own products. Generally, you have someone on your team who is dedicated to marketing and public relations, or you have you hire someone to do the marketing for you. But just sort of talking about your own products, it's very difficult, and it's difficult to say, hey, would you please try my game? Because content creators are constantly getting that. They're constantly getting people asking them to cover their games. So I wish I could say that I have useful advice for you, but that's something that I have a tough time as well. I'm not a huge, big, famous developer. I am a small studio, and so I face the same issues as you when it comes to that, getting people to take a look at your games, and it's tough. And the thing is, what to keep in mind is don't get discouraged, and just keep trying and stay in there, or hang in there, even if it feels like no one's looking at it. Just keep sharing it and stay positive. And even if people say like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, it's not a big deal, because if you think about your favorite game that you think is the best game in the world, that's like a huge AAA thing, and this is your favorite game, there's people out there that say that's the worst game in the world. So it doesn't matter if somebody says your game sucks or if it's the worst thing in the world. That's part of gaming. That's just how that's just part of how we engage and how we enjoy gaming. Because there are games out there that I really dislike that I say, this is the worst thing, I hate it, and it's going to be someone else's favorite game. That's just part of it, you know? So my advice is just don't get discouraged and don't be disheartened. Don't take it personally when someone says you've made the worst thing in the world. That's really the only useful advice I can offer you. Freerend. Oh, you know what? A friend of mine really likes Freerend. I haven't looked into it, but I think I'd like to see that in the future. I saw an episode of Shangri-La. It looked so cool, and then I forgot. Hey, Elenon, how's it going? Good to see you. Very excited to work on your next games. Just keep working on it, and just make sure you're having fun and you're enjoying what you're working on, you know? Funny that I see most Steam profiles for developers, 99% of them have only released a single thing. They probably get demotivated after their first game's performance. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many new games, especially in the independent developer space. There's so many new games launching all the time. It is highly unlikely that you will find significant attention with your first, second, or even third title. Just make sure that you're enjoying what you're doing, you're not miserable, and just try and tell people about your work. Let people know what it is that they might enjoy about your game, because it is very difficult to get people to talk about your game. So I'll just show you what I was working on here. I'll just show that to you, because I the 3DS is probably my favorite console. I just love making stuff and then running it on the 3DS. Obviously, I'm not going to distribute this, but you can see oh, the green screen. Let me turn off the green screen for a second. Okay. So this framework, I'm using it for a bunch of games. I'll be especially putting it on the Vita, but I can't necessarily put stuff on. Why is this so, it's blown out? What's my webcam doing? Why is my webcam really bright now? There's something wrong here. Let me check my filters on my webcam here. Hold on. Sorry here. I have to reset my webcam. I need to change, I paid a lot of money for this webcam, but it freaks out. Every time I open the settings, it freaks out. Okay, we're still here though. I'm coming back in just a second. I don't know why it does this. It's real weird. It's real weird. Let me go ahead and fix that up. I don't know if I'll be streaming too long today because my studio doesn't have air conditioning. It's so warm in here already. Just clicking on some things. Why am I so red now? I have another webcam. I just need to swap it out. All because I just wanted to show you this. Okay. Can you see that all right? If you press the B button. So you can see the character moving. You have free movement during attacking. So attacking doesn't affect your mobility. Jumping doesn't affect your attacking. Is the L button? Am I direction locked? Okay, yeah. You can see the character. Oh, this is so difficult. No, I'm trying to do buttons. All right. You can see he's direction locked, right? So if you're fighting an enemy, you can... Am I pressing left or right? You can direction lock, yeah, and then you can attack and direction lock. So you can move and strafe back up while you're fighting enemies, you know, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so you see it running on there. Obviously, you know, like, I can't, because I'm an official developer on the 3DS with Nintendo, I can't just use the Unity tools to make 3DS homebrew stuff. So I have to find other solutions if I'm going to make homebrew for 3DS, but I'll absolutely be making stuff for the Vita. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn my green screen back on. What's so important with smaller developers like you and me that are independent, we're small studios, is you just build an audience of people who like the thing that you've made. That's really how we are different from AAA studios, is we get to connect directly with people on a personal level. And you know what got me through making my first few Silver Falls games was just the handful of people that were saying, man, I just love the Silver Falls games so much, you know, and they saw the flaws in the games, but they saw the positives in the games, and they said, man, I'm just really enjoying. They can see that I'm improving, and I am actively trying to improve with each game that I make, and they can see that, and they're enjoying it. And just try and build a community, find people that just like the thing that you're making. Have you ever played Star Ocean? Absolutely, Dragon Waffle. Yeah, Star Ocean. On the PlayStation, original PlayStation. MP, I am programming alone at the office on Friday afternoon while everyone works from home. Having Jerrel on makes me feel like that I'm not working alone. Hey, that means that I'm not working alone either. If you're programming, I'm programming, then we're both developing. Okay, if you give me a second, I just need to think about what I need to work on. Oh, I do want to show you this feature here. Okay, so where's my mouse? My webcam, oh no, my capture card has seemed to gone funny a little bit. I'll try and unplug it and plug it back in again. Okay, are we back yet? My capture card. Is there any lore behind your studio's name? No, I just think it's something that sounds positive and full of energy. Something that kind of sounds a little inspirational. Sungrand. That's all the lore there is behind it. My capture device is going for a second and then stopping. I'm going to unplug it. And then I'm going to plug it back in again. Do you like my idea for a monster? A monster that hides from you and steals essential items and run away from you with the items. That's so jacked up. It's a little bit like the like from Zelda, but if it's stealing essential items, that'd be fun because now you have to go back and chase it. That's pretty funny. Also, players would probably exploit that to like dupe items. You know a monster like that is going to dupe items, and I absolutely love it. I'm all for that. Any extra way that you can enjoy the game in a cool way, totally. All right, so I'm trying to get my capture card to come back. It's okay. Now my mouse is dead. It's one or the other. Okay, come on, mouse, come back. Okay, my laptop is being so weird right now. Anyway, let's move on. I'll just have to use the trackpad here. All right. Why is my... Okay, now my mouse is back? Oh, my mouse is freaking out. Okay, well, I'll just leave that unplugged then. Yeah, hey, thanks, Lloyd. Thanks for asking. Hello, IT, have you tried turning it off and on again? I did. I unplugged it. Okay, why am I so red? Let me go ahead and adjust my webcam then. Filters. Color correction. Just turn down the saturation, I guess. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so I'll show you here. So what I meant to do was show you the stick weapon, right? Well, my computer's pressing buttons without me. This is not good. My computer probably needs to be restarted. It is stuck. Cool, man. I was gonna show you more of that. Huh. It's not letting me click on anything. I'm gonna have to unplug from there. Let me see if I can show you anything that's on my development unit right now. Then we'll switch it up, and I'll restart my computer. Let me just make sure I don't have anything that's sort of too revealing here. Check my dev unit. Hold on. Come on, computer. Please let me restart the computer. I'm not going to hold the power button and restart it because that will destroy your stuff. That will ruin everything. All right. Yeah, this is plugged into... It was unplugged from the power, was it? That unit. Okay, I'm going to unplug that. Yeah, this is Unity, but it's a very old version of Unity. Task Manager. We're restarting it. Okay, we'll be right back. Sorry guys, if you just give me a second and then I'll fix this. I need just a moment as I restart this. Wait, why am I typing? I'm still here talking. I'm using Unity 5 because the newer versions of Unity are significantly slower. They keep stopping and doing things. They take a long time to open, so the process of using Unity, the newer versions, is really slow. So I create the vast majority of my games in Unity 5, and then I upgrade them to the newer versions of Unity later on. No development session is ever complete without technical issues. That am true. That am true. All right, we've restarted the computer. We're plugging it back in. Can I just... Okay, it looks like we're back. We're gonna put that... We're gonna put that there. We're gonna put that there. All right. We're back in business. made me move to Unreal. I've tried using Unreal. I've started learning it. Eventually, I'd like to make a game with it, but my brain's having a hard time understanding the way that Unreal works because I've used so much Unity, which is odd because I use so many other development environments. It's not like I can only use Unity. I've made games for a bunch of other legacy platforms. So, you know what? Nobody's brain is perfect. We all have blind spots in our brain, and I think Unreal might be one of my blind spots. And it's kind of frustrating because I would like to use Unreal. Okay, we are opening our project again. Look, I'll just show you, right? I'm going to click on that, and let's just see how fast it opens. Because in the newest version of Unity, it would probably sit there for like 15 minutes, 10, 15, just for a small project like that. My bigger projects take 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour to open in the newer versions of Unity. It is not, it's not good for morale when you just want to make a game. The Wii U is underrated. Absolutely. The Wii U is one of my favorite consoles. Okay, we're going to start up the music again. The music that you're hearing is from Silver Falls Ruby River. Again, it was the very final game on the Nintendo 3DS. If you happen to find the ROM online, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you're able to find a way to enjoy my game. I would be happy if people were able to find a way to enjoy my games. That would be cool. All right, and we are back. It's opened. It took, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds, something like that. Okay, we'll bring our stuff back over. All right, game. And then I'll show you some of the logic here. Unreal is weird, man, weird. I know that you just have to view things from a different perspective. That's from my understanding, that's the right way to understand Unreal. And I know it's powerful. I can see it's powerful. It looks so cool. One day when I have time, I will learn how to use it. 25 minutes on your PC for opening a Unity project in the newer versions. What is your favorite game system remote? Do you mean remote or do you mean controller? Because not that many systems have remotes, like, you know, but when you say remote, I think of like a TV remote. Like the PS3, the Xbox had remotes. Let's see here. Okay, we'll bring this dude. Can I bring that? Controller. Oh, man. Oh, no, that's easy for me. The Wii U gamepad. I love that thing. Oh, I would like to be able to still make games for the Wii U, but I cannot. Because it's over. All things end, even things we love, things we hate. All things end. Okay, so if we click on the character, you get your character information there. You have the character has a weapon equipped. Stick? I thought it was this. Stick. So we'll click on stick, and we're going to go ahead and just change a few things. Oh, what happened? There we go. So if we change the animation, let's go ahead and pick different animations now. Let's go short slash, and we're going to change the animation speed. So you can actually influence the speed. Like if you wanted to play twice as fast, then you put a 2 in there, and then it'll play the animation twice as fast. Wii U gamepad was underrated. There's so much more that we could have done with it, but the system just was not marketed correctly, you know? Actually, let's do something different. Let's go long slash and see what long slashes look like. Long slash 1, long slash 2, and instead of stab, let's do double slash 1. Let's see what that looks like. Animation speed 1. So now we've modified some values on the weapon that our character has equipped. We're going to run the game and we'll see if I did that correctly. I think Unreal is too powerful and many devs use the inbuilt systems as crutches and don't do stuff properly like optimization. Dumuzi, absolutely, you are absolutely right. We see that happen so much. That is something that is very common. Unreal is so powerful and it's easy to make something look impressive. And this is why I say that fidelity is not quality. Unreal has high fidelity. It looks high quality visually, but that doesn't mean that it is a good product just because it has high fidelity. We can only have one control layer active at a time. Okay, and then if we press the B button now, we should see, you can see the animations are different. But we need to adjust the speed because it doesn't look quite right. There's also something wrong with the animations where the wrists are not animating correctly. So I just have to go back into the animations in my animating program and then manually just reanimate the wrists because you can see they're not animating. So it looks really wonky. So you can see, yeah, we've changed those aspects on the data just there on the scriptable object. You can see the double slash as if for weapons that are two-handed, say for example, like double knife, you know. So there we go. Minimal Effort Live. Hey, good to see you. You've seen a lot of Uncanny Valley nonsense come out of Unreal. Yeah. And that's because it's easy to make something look impressive in Unreal. In Unity, it's significantly harder to make something look as impressive. Dragon Waffle, I think it was because it was rushed and the market was not ready for another gimmick. I think that they just didn't tell people what the Wii U was, because I think the majority of people thought the Wii U was a controller for the original Wii. They needed a different name, is what it needed. What are your thoughts on the Hatred game? I'm not sure what the Hatred game is. I'll show you how the event system works now, here, on a programming aspect. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to our events here. When I worked at GameStop, many customers thought it was an add-on for the Wii. Exactly, see? Like Lotus Petal says. And I think that was a huge problem, is that people didn't really know it was a totally different system, and developers didn't really understand what they could do with it. And that responsibility falls on Nintendo, is they showed people what it could do with Nintendo Land, but I think they should have done a bit more to encourage developers to reach for something that was unique to the Wii U, that used its features to its maximum potential. 0-1 action art direction will always be better. Absolutely, you are absolutely right. Because again, fidelity, like we're past the stage now where fidelity impresses us. We have seen so much high fidelity in video games, it's not impressive anymore. And we're at a point where who cares if it's super realistic? That doesn't make it interesting to look at. It does not make the game fun. In the Wii U reveal trailer, they didn't mention it was a console a single time. I remember seeing some of the ads and they were not good. I think Switch advertising was perfect because they learned from their lessons, but you look at the Wii U advertising and it was like kids yelling at their parents like, gimme, gimme, gimme. It wasn't good. PS3 has no games. My PS3 died. Its internal power thing died, and I had every Resident Evil on there. I'm a little bit bummed about it because Dark Side Chronicles on the PS3 is incredible. You really like Zombie U? Yeah, Zombie U is awesome. I miss Miiverse. I miss Street Pass and Spot Pass. All that stuff was so cool. Hellblade 2 was the perfect example. Boring game and terrifying to look at despite being impressive. Oh, let me look. Okay, so just to make the point, let's go ahead and look that up. A friend brought this. But this is specifically Senua's Saga. Is that something that's unique to? Is that DLC? A friend brought this over. I did see this. We played a little bit and we walked around a lot. I didn't fully understand it, so I think it just wasn't for me. That was a lot of gum. Oh man, this is the wrong takeaway here, but did you guys see that? Oh my god, look at the amount of gum she has. What is up? I don't know what's going on. I don't know how they rigged that, but that's too much gum, man. That's too much gum. You love the soundtrack and the trailer? I can't hear it. I don't get to hear it. Let me pause my music while this trailer plays. Yeah, a friend brought it over. It looks incredible, but I didn't see any gameplay. That's so much gum! Oh! Yeah, we played it on the Switch. I found it extremely impressive. Absolutely impressive. But I didn't see any gameplay. I think, maybe started me at the beginning or something, where it's just walking. What's the gameplay of this like? Do you know a good way to pick up programming? I have no experience, but I really want to get into game development, says Slimaku? Am I saying that? Have you seen The Forest Never Sleeps? I haven't. I'll look that up later. So I want to answer Slimaku's question here. So here's a great place to start. I'm going to go to the internet. Game Maker Studio. You can download this for free. This is Game Maker Studio. This is an excellent way to start. So to answer your question, I'll just accept the cookies. Who cares? This is free to download and you can make games with it. The reason why I recommend Game Maker to start is because it relies on a visual interface. The difficult part about learning programming is that it's all just words and you have to memorize so many different words, terms, and concepts. And if you are trying to learn development for video games, there's already so many things you have to learn. So what Game Maker does is it replaces the typing aspect with visual aspects so that you can learn what the concepts of game development are without you having to memorize words. The knowledge that you gain from using a visual interface, it is a drag and drop interface. The philosophy that you learn translates into programming. So this is a good way to learn programming. Programming doesn't just mean typing out words. It's a huge part of it, but it doesn't just mean that. And now to make the point here, I will show you how animation logic works in Unity. Unity, I spent years using using programming to control my animation logic, and it was a nightmare. It was hell. It was absolute hell. And what Unity allows you to do is use this sort of state machine. Let me go ahead and click on a character. So creating my games looks like this. It's hundreds of thousands of lines of code, but there are some things that just work better in a visual interface. This is a visual interface. It's basically drag and drop, or drag and drop the mythical creature. If you like the mythical creature, then drag and drop. And it allows you to visually understand the logic. And sometimes that's what you need in order to learn something quickly. You have the action layer here, which controls the top half of the body. It can start combat actions, and you can see it starts the combat action and then it checks the action ID value. It checks the value. If the value equals 1, then it'll play horizontal slash. If the value is 2, then it'll play diagonal downward. This way you can see the logic. Scalability is the problem here. When you need to make something even bigger and bigger, that is when a visual interface does not work well for you. But there are instances where a visual interface is significantly better. This would take spaghetti logic. If I wanted to create all that logic in programming, you can do it, but it would be very unpleasant and it's hard to look at and understand. It would become spaghettified. And that is where a visual interface like this works. I recommend, if you are just learning, use Game Maker Studio because you can use a visual interface to learn what programming actually does for your game logic. So I hope that answered your question. Have you ever seen The New Norm? What is that? What's The New Norm? Is that a show? I've actually started using Unity to make custom maps for games. Ooh, cool. Then shifted to making games in it. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you were posting screenshots in the Discord. Um, can I have some Parmesan for the spaghetti logic? It can get cheesy real fast up in here. You might think it's funny. You might think it's funny, but sometimes your game breaks and you need a cheesy solution and you don't feel good about it, but it's the solution that works and you have other things to get to. So sometimes you gotta put some Parmesan on that spaghetti and it's what makes your game work. Thanks. I also looked at Game Maker. Cool, awesome. I might do some tutorials. I might use that. The thing is, I like using Game Maker 8, and the reason I like using Game Maker 8, it's a very old version, right? Let's see if we can download it. Download Game Maker 8.1. Go to Internet Archive, and the reason why I use Game Maker 8, it works basically the same as the new Game Maker, but it's no longer supported. You can't buy it. If you could buy it, I would say do not pirate this, buy it, but they do not make it available to purchase. So you can download it here. This is where I got it. And then you look up something called Chovy GM. And Chovy GM takes your Game Maker game, as long as it's made in Game Maker 8.1, and it turns it into a PSP game. And you can play it like it's any PSP game if you have homebrew enabled PSP or an emulator. So that's why I like using Game Maker 1. I'm working on a number of homebrew PSP games right now. So, and if you use Game Maker 8, the knowledge of using that translates over to the newer versions of Game Maker Studio. Post-processing effects make a game look 100 times better. They give you a ton of creative control, like Adam 314 says. Tamuzi, I don't remember if Unity supports hierarchical FSM. I'm not sure what FSM stands for. I mean, hold on, let me try and catch up. The new norm is a cringy adult animated comedy. I don't really enjoy modern animated adult shows because they're not funny to me. They just rely on sort of like crude humor and gross outs. My first game making was with UT 2004, following the modding and map making tutorials included. Cool. You know what I want to try? You know what download I found ages? Let's see if we can find it again. Let's see. I downloaded it and then I have it on a. Is it Renderware? I think it's on Internet Archive. I think you can still download it. I have the SDK. I downloaded it. I haven't even installed it or used it because I'm so busy with work. Oh, finite state machine. Gotcha. Yeah, you can download Renderware. It's cringy because it's political. I don't find political stuff funny. It's not funny. It's not interesting. It's such a bore. I think I have a 98 machine still. Oh, you can use a virtual machine. So yeah, if you want to use an old game engine, you just hate the meta political jokes. I don't like that stuff either. It's not fun. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I was going to show you the event system here. Okay. We got I'm happy to answer your questions. Obviously, we're here to hang out and have fun. Okay. Oops. I moved this, but I didn't move my event. So let's go ahead and reset that. And then we'll go ahead. Where'd that cube come from? I don't know what I did. I don't know what I've done. What is this? Okay, this is event template, right? So let's use this one. So basically what we have, this is what I call an event. It's an NPC, a box, item, whatever. The important thing to look at are the event instructions here. You can have the dialog display, so that controls what it says. This is a really cool storyline. My backstory is so cool. There we go. Auto progress means that the player doesn't press the button to progress the text. It means that it will progress automatically after a specific amount of time. Sometimes you'll want events to do that. If you want to control a character movement, you have objects to activate. So if you have scene objects that are hidden in your scene, you can make them unhidden and you can activate them. Or if you need to hide something, say for example, a character needs to destroy a boulder or something, right? Like part of the event is they punch the boulder and then it goes into a pit of lava. Then you can use something like objects to deactivate. So when it reaches this event instruction, this progresses through the instructions one step at a time. Then you would reference that in that object there. You also have switch conditions. Say for example, you talked to a guy, right? So then you would say talked to, well, it doesn't need, you can have spaces, talk to guy, right? You have the core lot. There's a bunch of other stuff there, but it will look for a switch. A switch is a Boolean value that can either be true or false, so that you can talk to this guy once, he'll say his line of dialogue, but then once you've talked to him, then he won't repeat this event. You can stop a repeat event by using switches. So you can set that to true, and then if it's true, then it will no longer play this. You can have a different event play out, right? Because you don't want to hear a guy's backstory over and over again. Okay? There's so many other things you can do, like multi-choice text, if you want to let the player pick something. You can add items to the inventory. So let's go ahead and click on this, right? We'll click on the scene, on the assets. Stick, let's give him a stick, even though he already has a stick, right? And then obtain quantity. Now I've got something here that is called system text display. And you can just say that, if he obtains a stick X1, you can put whatever you want it to be. And then of course you can increase the number of instructions. So now we have a third instruction. It'll duplicate whatever the latest one is and say, thanks for hanging out on the Sungrand stream. There, okay. So let's try this. We're going to go ahead and talk to that event. Okay, that's the one. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit run. Where's my character here? Enable template. Oh, and that green thing is a teleport zone. I'll explain that to you. So I need to manually remove that. That's right. So it's looking for 3DS control logic because I was running it on 3DS because I'm such a huge 3DS fan. Yeah, let's just leave out the politics. It's just boring and irritating. And I personally don't like politics at all. I think it sucks. It's boring. We can leave it out. We don't have to talk about it. What is your favorite protagonist? Maybe it's Red 13 from Final Fantasy VII. He was just the coolest. He was the coolest character I'd ever seen. Because up until that point, before I played Final Fantasy VII, video game characters looked like Link and Mario, right? And I'd never seen a character that looked like Red 13 or Kite Sith. And I know it's catchy. I know it's Irish. I'm going to say it the way that I said. Okay, backstory is so cool. Thanks for hanging out on the Sungrass stream. So you can see how you control events there. And then there was that tick box there that said destroy, deactivate event. So you can see you can deactivate after completion. And there you go. That's it. Kirby sucks. Haha. PBD. Hey, Jerrel, I wanted to let you know I've challenged myself to make one game a month for a year, and I think I'm on schedule. Hey, that's awesome. That sounds like a great challenge. Glad to hear from you. Rick James brought Unity. I was living in Florida. Red 13 looks so cool. Look, for anyone who doesn't know Red 13, I thought it was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen when I was a kid. And when you're a kid, you're easily impressed, right? But holy crap, the fact that there was a video game character that was a talking red wolf, look at this dude, right? Look at this dude. He was extremely intelligent, and he was a red wolf with fire on his tail, and I thought he was just the coolest character in the whole world. Yeah, I think the first few times I played Final Fantasy VII, he was always in my party, without a doubt. Look at him! right? I was obsessed. I had the Final Fantasy VII instruction manual, and I would read that thing like when I was at school. I'd take it to school with me. And this was the original artwork from Yoshitaka Amano. Oh, the artwork is so cool. Look at, and then you had things like, as a kid, you do not know how to pronounce this when you're a kid. And I thought he was cool because he was the weirdest looking thing that I'd ever seen in a video game. So the first few times I played Final Fantasy VII, I always had Kite Sith and Red 13. Do they say, okay, how do they say it? Has anyone played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Is that it? I haven't played it. How do they say Kite Sith's name? Is it Ketchi? Do they say it Ketchi? Oh, yeah, this guy likes butts from Berserk. You know, did anyone else play the Final Fantasy V fan translation from the early 2000s? Because Bartz's name was translated as Butts. And I love Final Fantasy V. I was so obsessed with that. And the fact that the character's name was Butts, I could not get over it. I had a Dingu A320, like one of the early emulation devices. I would play Final Fantasy V on that. I played it on my laptop. The fact that there was a character named Butts, I couldn't get over it. They say Kate Sith? Okay. I'm glad they're not doing like the traditional Irish pronunciation because I know it's catchy. All right, no one's gonna say it like that. Cool, Kate Sith. Kate Sith is great. Little known fact, Cloud is actually pronounced Curaldo. Little known fact, Titus's name, Titus is pronounced Titus, and I refuse. I refuse. I will not ever call Titus Titus. And this is where it's important to consider gamers, right? It doesn't matter as the writer, as the artist, as the developer. It doesn't, once your game is out there, once your product is out there, it doesn't matter what you want and what you like. How the player engages and experiences your product is their unique experience, and you have to accept it. And as a gamer, I refuse to call Titus Titus. I will not be told how that character's name is said. His name is Titus. I don't care how many times they officially say it's Titus. I'm not doing it. And that is something that developers need to keep in mind. It is something that I keep in mind as a developer, is people are going to experience games in their own way. People have a relationship with the game. And my relationship with Final Fantasy X is I am not going to call Titus Titus. What a stupid name. And I will not be calling him Titus. So there we go. That's my rant for the day. I thought you were talking about the company Titus. Titus sounds better with him being a blitzball player. I thought because it sounded like, oh, tide, like the ocean, right? And we are allowed to complain. We are allowed to go on rants, right? That is part of how we enjoy stuff. That's enjoying media and things that people make. Complaining and going on rant, that's the fun of it. And it's so weird to me that people online criticize and, like sort of make fun of people who go on and complain. Guys, it's part of enjoying it, all right? That's part of it. It's how we have fun. Titus actually makes more sense. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Titus Interactive. Okay, I thought they lasted longer than that. Yeah, I remember their logo was a fox, right? Let's just look that up. Titus. I know I've played games from them. I just can't think of yeah, there we go. A little fox guy. Let's look at the games they made. Oh no, they made Superman? Oh no, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. This is boring to look at. Let's look at pretty pictures. Text. Is it? Can I get more? Can I get more of that? Okay. What's Carmageddon? I was this is me just complaining. I wanted like, can I get a section that just has pictures? We're gonna have to read Glide Gang stream when. So here's the thing. I thought it would be funny if I did a stream as Glide. I think I might play Marvel Rivals as Glide, but there's no way for me to see. There's no way to see what's going on. Yeah, tape. So I can't see what's going on in the game. So I think this, normally I put it on a pair of glasses. I can't see what's going on. So I think it would be cool to play, to stream and play games as Glide and not be able to see anything. I think that would be fun. And then of course my teammates would get absolutely livid because I would be a dead weight. Um, yeah, I think if I do try Marvel Rivals, I'll be streaming as Glide, and I won't be able to see anything. I really really enjoy twisted metal type games, car fighting games. I would like that genre to come. Are there any car fighting games? Does anyone know of any ones that have launched recently? Because that's a fun genre. I would be happy if car fighting games came back. So let's look at their games again. Um, Crazy Cars. I'm trying to see anything that I recognize. Prince of Persia 2. Quest for Camelot. Okay. Oh. Superman, the new Superman Adventures. They've got the word Superman in there too many times. I'm just going to say it. Xena Warrior Princess. I remember seeing this in an issue of EGM. Hercules. Years ago, I got contracted to develop a Karate Kid game, and then I bowed out of that arrangement because the rights holders, the people that I was working with, were dodgy. They could not make a decision, and they wanted me to make a Karate Kid game, and I kept asking, um, you do your communication back and forth, but every time they responded, it was a different person responding. And so I could not even sit down with one person to just solidify one game concept and solidify one vision. And I just said, like, look, I cannot work in an environment where there is no specified chain of command, where there is no stability in that environment. It was weird. Wait, how old are you? I'm 37. I'm middle-aged. I feel so old. Yeah, those are Titus Interactive games. Look, their games are not great, right? These are not great games. Oh, you guys want to make GBA games? Um, I'm also working on GBA games. There's a great SDK out there. Um, where is it? Whoa, this looks new. What is Zig GBA? Okay. Butano. So if you want to make GBA games, a GBA SDK Butano, this is excellent. It's so brilliant. It works really well. Like, look at the cool stuff you can make. And you can put stuff on a cartridge. It does 3D. Cartridges for GBA are really cheap, so you could put your own game on flash cartridge. You do have to do C++ programming. So if you're new to programming, this is not a good place to start. But if you already know programming, it's pretty easy to just get assets into your game. So look this up. You can look at all the cool stuff as well. Give these a try. I really want to see homebrew for GBA take off, because what a cool console, right? GBA is so awesome. There's Game Maker for Nintendo DS that makes it so easy to make DS games. So I'll be making more DS games as well. Whoa, pseudo 3D. That's cool. Yeah, go to this website. There's so much cool stuff. Check this out. This is really neat. Making stuff is, that's my passion for life, is making stuff. I want to make cool games for people, and it doesn't matter, to me, it doesn't matter if it's on the newest console or if it's on the oldest one. I just want to make cool games for people. Let me catch up to the chat here. Hold on, I'm falling behind. The Xena game had 3 levels in Hades, and wraiths floated at you slowly. It was great. Oh, really? I'll look that up. Getting close to the age where your knees are no longer left and right, but good and bad. Well, I'm at the age where your back is different levels of... I think I could do that today, and probably not today. So that's the age that I'm at with my back. Oh, why do people younger than me keep saying they feel old? Look, some of us have had to deal with a lot of different things in life, and it takes its toll. LBC Andrew almost made me spit out my coffee. It's a JRPG trope where everyone older than 20 is on death's door. I remember when I was a kid looking at the instruction manual for Final Fantasy VII, and I thought Sid was the old guy, and I think he's only 32. But I remember playing the game thinking, Jesus, that is old, basically like an elderly man. And I thought, like, I guess elderly men can be video game characters as well. How old is Sid Highwind in FF7? 32. Oof! Oh, I've grown so old. Does OBS have a plugin where you push the OBS plugin and then it makes you melt like in Raiders of the Lost Ark because you've grown so old? Jeez. Oh my God. When I was a kid, I thought Sid was the oldest person in the world, and I am 5 years older than Sid now. Will you make a game for the Etch-a-Sketch? You could make like a little board game on there, probably. Which was your favorite car combat? Probably Twisted Metal 2. I don't think I ever got 3. Have you gotten around to playing Metaphor? No, unfortunately. I don't think that I'll get to play Metaphor ReFantazio. It looks awesome. It looks like what I would like. Here's the problem, though. I just bought a couple of Tales games. I really like the Tales of RPG series, and I'll be chipping away at those for years. I'll get to play like an hour here and there. Because my work is so demanding, making my games, that takes priority. I don't get to play games very much, which is why Smash Bros. Ultimate is my most played game, because I can play a couple minutes here and there while I'm developing. You're really old, gray beard. And that's fine. You know, some people are young and have a gray beard, and some people are older and don't really lose their hair color. But these days, you know, you can be old and you can be video game characters. You can be 90, I guess, and be a cool video game character. Yeah, Tales. The music. There's something about the music of Tales of Destiny 1 where I hear it, and it's just like it teleports my brain into a fantasy world. There's something about the softness and the reverb of the Tales of game, and this is also true for Legend of Mana on the PlayStation. It feels like a paintbrush, but for sound, and it just paints this landscape. It teleports me somewhere else. That's what inspires me to make games, is to create something beautiful that people want to believe in, you know? That's why I make games. I don't care about politics. I don't want to hear about politics. I don't want to hear about personal views. I just want to create something beautiful that people want to believe in and people want to care about. That's where I approach all of my games, especially Silver Falls. I want to create characters that people feel like, oh, I want to be friends with that dude. That is a cool dude. And that's what my Silver Falls games are all about. I cannot, Bobby Cannon, I cannot find games I can play. Everything is so hard. I hear you. There's a steep learning curve to many modern games. Like, for example, I'll take, for example, Dead Space 3. Let's just go ahead and bring that up. And I think Dead Space is the weakest one. People are not that happy with Dead Space 3. I don't know why I opened a second window, but I'll just open that up. And I was playing it a couple years ago. And it takes a while to build proficiency because the controls, you're using like every single button for Dead Space, right? The combat is so demanding, and so you have to get good. There's a high proficiency level, and I got to the last part of the game, and I built up the proficiency, and I took a break for about 6 months so I could do focus on work, and then I went back to finish Dead Space 3, and I couldn't finish the game because I lost all of the proficiency I had built up, and the combat at that point was so demanding that I was just getting killed so much that I couldn't finish the game. And that's a problem that modern games have, is because they can make games mechanically more demanding, it means that you have to develop proficiency, and if you lose the proficiency for that, you have now basically blocked yourself from playing and enjoying the game. And that's just part of it. Um, I always select the lowest settings, but I won't invest the time to learn. And it's tough. Some people have the time to learn. You know, if you're a teenager, those games are more fitting. Like you can spend the time to enjoy that. You know, because when you're a teenager, it's kind of like, I'm done with school today. I want to get away from that. I want to step away from that. And this is the kind of escapism that you need. It gives you a chance to learn something and be good at something that is fun, whereas school isn't always like that. Did I just make my stream R-rated because of the violence? Oh, man. Ooh, you're finishing a Drawlin. The co-op mission for Dead Space 3 was so good. Blue thing. I had this fantasy in my head where I was going to convince one of my friends to buy Dead Space 3 so we could do co-op. But you know, there are some dreams in life. Some dreams in life are unobtainable. And that was when I couldn't convince any of my friends to buy Dead Space 3 so that we could do co-op. My wife fell in love with Cults of the Lamb, but she's terrible at video games. Don't tell her I said that. Scout's honor, my lips are sealed. She refuses to change the difficulty from easy to super easy. I think we should pick different names for the difficulty mode so people don't feel attacked. Like, man, you suck because you played on easy mode. I tend to use words like chill mode. You know, because with the word chill, I think it is more clear in the experience that it is offering is maybe you just want a chill game experience. I only ever hear about Dead Space in game design videos talking about diegetic UI. Well, that game is the poster child for excellent diegetic UI. It's so brilliant. These days, I've been focusing a bit more on thematic UI. There's things that I want to show you, but I can't. I'm working on Silver Falls Duck Season, and the UI is like stick. You're pointing at things with a stick, and then the text show up on leaves, you know, because you're managing an army of ducks in Silver Falls Duck Season. Things like that. I like themed, and it's not necessarily diegetic, but it is themed, so it's in between diegetic and not. Yeah. YOLO, just jump right into Dante Must Die mode. And it depends on the style of the game. Like you can call it like ass clencher mode, you know, for the hardest mode. I like when games do that, you know, and it's funny. But here's a funny story about Resident Evil. It's not funny. This is just, it's not even a story. I'm sorry, I set your expectations way too high. Resident Evil Remake. When you're selecting a difficulty mode in Resident Evil Remake, there's, I think, hiking mode and mountain climbing mode. And when I was a kid, I didn't understand the difference. I thought it was asking me what I preferred because the game didn't say that it was for the difficulty setting. So I accidentally put the game on the harder difficulty. Yeah, I think that was me just being a dumb kid and not knowing it was the difficulty mode. But yeah, in my head, I thought, well, I prefer like mountain climbing or whatever. So here it is. Is this it? It's a very small picture, isn't it? Here. Question. How do you like games? Like climbing a mountain, like going on a hike, like taking... I think they added that later on. Yeah, and my little kid brain didn't know that this was a difficulty setting. Duck season. Oh, hold on. I'll catch up to the chat a little bit. Instead of playing games, I watch YouTube. Like the channel. Hey, thanks for coming to hang out. You know, we're still enjoying games. We're hanging out, we're talking. Rabbit season, duck season. So with Silver Falls Duck Season, it's going to be a DS game, and then I'm simultaneously going to launch the sequel on the Nintendo Switch, and that is also called Silver Falls Duck Season. So they're both called Duck Season, and it's a bit of a joke on how frustrating it is when sometimes a movie or a game comes out and then the sequel is the same name as the original. That's part of the joke. So Duck Season on the DS takes place in the early 2000s, and then Duck Season on the Switch takes place in modern day. And you get to see characters in the Silver Falls series through different stages in their life. But if you want to make your own DS games, I have a video about this. DS Game Maker. Type this in, DS Game Maker. You can make your own DS games. Oh look, my video came up there. It's it takes so much of the complicated, difficult work out of the equation. This is a drag and drop interface. And again, I'm saying dragon like the mythical creature. I'm not saying drag and drop. I'm saying drag and drop. So this is, oh, do we have someone that's, who's PC Principal? Are you from South Park? Silver Falls Trail. Is Silver Falls based on a real place? The game series Silver Falls is based on, basically it's a lot of my life experiences in terms of going on road trips, just driving through the mountains and finding small little towns, hanging out in the smallest, the coolest, like old town dive bars. One of my favorite things is to go on trips and then find small towns out in gold mining towns, just hang out with locals, and it looks like old Wild West saloons. So you get to hang out with people, you make friends, you get to learn about different people and their lives, and you get to explore these small towns and mountains. And that's, Silver Falls is based on a wide collection of experiences that I've had exploring mountain towns. It's not based on any one particular place. I'm a huge South Park fan, so I thought they were going to kill PC Principal, right? They sort of made him like kind of annoying. Principal, is that right? This guy, but he turns out pretty funny. This is a funny character. That's a funny guy. There's a place called Silver Falls 50 kilometers from where I am. Hey, that's interesting. That reminds me, there are two versions of Splinter Cell Double Agent. The version of 360 is literally a different game from other versions. I kind of miss the magic of the Wii days where they would make a game for the PS3 and the 360 and it would look so cool, and then a Wii version would come out and then it's not even close. It uses like a cartoony graphic style. I kind of miss those days because it was funny, but also as a gamer it was kind of annoying as well. Since some of us have been talking about difficulty, I always think that the hard mode is like the intended difficulty, but as a dev, how do you design different difficulty settings? So that's not something that I do much myself. The games that I create, I try to make them a standard level of difficulty, and I usually give the player a way to make the game easier by making use of resources that are available to you. For example, my game Silver Falls Ghoul Busters, you can collect bottle caps as currency and you can buy items. And by using those items during the missions, you can make the game way easier. But I've had some people tell me, oh, I want to do it without items. It's so much harder without items. And then doing the boss fights, trying to keep items to a minimum is difficult. And to me, that is my way. To me, it's more interesting to implement difficulty in that way. For Silver Falls 3 Down Stars, which is a survival horror on the 3DS, it's meant to be very difficult, and you feel like the odds are stacked against you. Every time you die in that game, every resource item respawns. So if you wanted to make the game easier, you could just die on purpose and keep stockpiling resources to make the game easier for yourself. So for me personally, that is my approach to a difficulty adjustment system, is an organic way for the player to make the game easier for themselves. I don't personally like picking, a menu experience, because that is not how I like to design my games. I want to focus on providing one very strong, very focused experience. And it's more interesting for the player to adjust the difficulty in an organic way by engaging with the game itself, as opposed to just picking an item on a menu. So I think I might be the wrong person to ask when it comes to, the menu difficulty selection. I don't necessarily like that. As a dev, I think I would rather write games than play them, but I don't play games, so I'd suck at programming games because I don't play them. Well, it's interesting because you need to have a relationship with games. You need to play them and enjoy them and experience in order to create something that other people will understand and relate to. So you do need to have an understanding, because video games is very much about communicating ideas. And if you don't play games and experience them, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to create something that other people can understand and relate to. My wife and I used to drive from Texas to Utah for a convention, and going to a hole in the wall diners was always the highlight of our trip. I love that. I don't like eating at fast food restaurants. I love going to ma and pa diners, 50 diners, and hanging out with locals. These places look like they came out of, you know, the 50s, and that's, you should cook some fried chicken. I had some the other night. It was nice. So how many dragons have you dropped? Tons, man. Tons. I'm dragon dropping all day long. Oh, River Miles, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's so cool of you. Thank you. This is for your unprecedented knack in having the ability to call out legitimate issues with games of today in the most relaxed manner. Your tan and musical abilities make me big, mad, and hopeful at the same time. Respect. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I want to keep doing my best. I want to make sure that whatever I bring to the conversation isn't something that will make people upset or riled up. I want to be able to help the situation and find a way forward that is constructive, that will result in the games industry being in a better position. And that's difficult to do. So I'll keep doing my best. Do you like Rurouni Kenshin? Heck yeah. If it's 90s anime and early 2000s, I'm a fan of it. So Tark, you can choose the easy difficulty, but every loading screen is the enemies pointing and laughing at the player. I like that. Look, I like fun ideas like that, fun, weird ideas. I'll try and catch up a little bit. Are your games available on Steam, Lloyd Spence? Not right now. I have games that you can pick up on itch.io. They might be in the description. They might be in the description. You know, but I'm in this stream here to hang out with you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I find that sort of thing really irritating. And that's really why my games don't sell as well as they should, is I don't like bragging about my work. I don't like bragging about my achievements, and I don't like telling people to buy things. And I'm really, I'm overly relaxed when it comes to telling people about my games that I've made commercially. Sun Grand Itch. I'll put this link in the description. You can try some of my games here. These are the free ones. Right now, all my commercial games are only available on the Switch, but I am bringing games to Steam. This is one of the games that this framework. It's not going to look like this. These are placeholder graphics while I create this framework, but this framework will allow me to make games very, very quickly. So I want to tell you about, are there any fans of Tremors here? The 90s movie Tremors. This is what I want to talk about now. Tremors movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Might be in my top 5. You could make text adventure games. There's programs out there that will let you make text adventures or like adventure games, you know, with drag and drop stuff. You can still make games in different ways. They don't all have to be, you know, like action adventure games or RPGs. Arugula Wolf, it fascinates me as to why someone who does not play games would want anything to do with their creation. Well, maybe they're curious. Maybe it's interesting. Kid Icarus Uprising is another idea for a difficulty setting. There's a situation where, you know, things like having extra health or enemies are more relaxed, you know, enemies attack less. That's where difficulty settings do make sense. I haven't made a game like that yet, but there's certainly still, you know, it makes sense for games, depending on the style, to have that. So, oh, you checked out the Breath of Thunder vibe check on PSP. Cool. I would love to make a PSP RPG. I think it's pretty obvious. I'm a huge PSP fan. And that, the vibe check that I created for the PSP, if I wanted to make an RPG for PSP, I could use that as a base. That's already a huge amount of work done. And then I could just build a battle system and the characters. So I'm a huge Tremors fan. These are about these giant death worms that can burrow underground. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. They've never made an official game for this. And what I would like to do, I would like to make a game that's sort of an homage to it, called Tremblers. And, you know, it'd be in a desert town, and there'd be multiple playable characters. And the enemies would move around underground, and it would be cool because you would see the environment move. You'd see like objects get knocked over and moved, buildings rumble, so you know where the creatures are moving. I would love to make a game called Tremblers. That's an homage to Tremors. And I would use this framework, and this framework would let me make that pretty quickly. There's another thing as well. Oh, with like vertex deformation. Yeah, you know, because in this movie, like when the tremors or the graboids are moving underground, you see, like, for example, if there's like a barrel, then the barrel would like get moved over. So you know, oh, the creature's underground, he's coming. Um, yeah, hey, David Klein, good to see you. I rewatched Tremors last week. Holds up. That is an excellent movie. The sequels are not that great, but they're still fun. Um, so that's something that I wanted to use this framework for, the framework that I'm making. And now there's Critters. Are there any fans of Critters here? Bobby Cannon, frameworks is the key. Abstraction, then put the details in at the end. That's right. You know, the framework does all of the hard work for you. You add in the details, you know. Maybe it could be a Werewolf Among Us-like game. I've never played Among Us. Burt Gummer is an inspirational character. That guy, Michael Gross. I have no interest in sort of celebrity worship. I'm not interested in that. Treating people like they're gods has always been a little, not a little, it's been very weird to me. But what I would say, Michael Gross, who plays Burt Gummer, I wouldn't like worship someone as a celebrity, but I would say I'd grab a burger with that, with Michael Gross. I would grab a burger and a root beer with Michael Gross because he seems cool as hell. And Gabe Newell from Steam, I'd grab a burger and a root beer with Gabe Newell. He seems pretty cool. Hey, React and Draw. Sean, rock on, my man. Fellow Critters fans here. I'm always excited to hear from people that like Critters because I grew up with Critters 2. My parents had a tape cassette and I watched that thing like 50 times. I was horrified by this movie. I was a little kid watching Critters 2 and I'd never seen Critters 1 until about 4 or 5 years ago. When I first thought about it, I thought, I've never even seen the first Critters. I'll find it. So I watched it. Absolutely love it. But you better grab that burger quick if it gets put down on a table in front of Gabe Newell. No, dude, Gabe Newell he's lost weight and he's hot now. Gabe Newell he's taken care of himself. This is not how he looks. Yeah, look, he's lost a ton of weight. You know, I hope he's taking better care of himself so that he can help lead the games industry for a long time still. We still need Gabe. We absolutely need Gabe to be here. Yeah, so the moral of the lesson for this stream is Gabe Newell is hot now. There we go. I'd grab a burger with that guy. He's cool. So anyway, back to Critters. Have you seen Creepazoid? No, what is Creepazoid? Is that a cool movie? Creepazoid. Creepazoids. I'm going to look this up. 1987. I love that era of movies. I'm going to look this up. I will watch it. Gabe is a hero. They're leaning on him too hard. They're leaning on him, or you mean he's carrying? Gabe Newell's awesome. I'm going to watch Creepazoids. Thank you for the recommendation. That looks exactly like what I want. Do you do YouTube full-time? No, this is just for fun. I full-time develop video games. I do YouTube just for fun because people told me they like my video games and they want to hang out, so I'm doing this. Creepazoid is a crappy alien ripoff, and that's just fine. I like that kind of stuff from the 80s. These sort of budget ripoff movies where it's obviously not the original, but it's something. There's something fun about it, right? What studio do you... Are you an AI? Are you real AI? Is this an AI or are you a person? Because you have AI in your name and now I don't know. I love cheesy ripoffs too. They're fun. I don't go there looking to see Schindler's List. I'm going to see a funny monster movie that is probably scary a little bit. Right, so Critters, I love Critters. If you haven't seen this, I think 1 and 2 are absolutely worth watching. The rest in the series are pretty awful. But it's about these little aliens that come down from space and they just eat people in this small town. They roll into a giant ball. They all combine into a giant ball. They roll over a guy, and then all that's left is a skeleton. Come on. I think that's the coolest kill gag, hands down. Any movie whatsoever. I probably can't show it in the stream because I'll get demonetized. Maybe I don't know if I'll get in trouble. You're real, you promised. I run my own studio called Sungrand Studios, and I make games that are just fun and cool for people. I just want to make cool stuff. Yeah, this is the box art. You're seeing me getting very excited now because I love this. Sean, you're gonna look up the clip where I rewatched Critters. I actually watched all the Critters in sequence last week. So fun, yeah. They combine into a big ball, they run over a dude, they leave a skeleton behind. So one of the reasons why I'm making this framework as well is I want to make a Critters inspired game called Varmints. And it would match the tone. It's set, like in the late 80s, early 90s, and you're just in a town minding your own business. Creatures come down from space. And so there's just going to be a bunch of normal humans, and you just pick up weapons and you got to fight varmints. So, I don't know who has the rights to Critters, but I would like to make the game. I'm going to call it Varmints. I'm going to ask around, see who has the rights, and if they're interested in doing, an actual licensed Critters game. And then at that point, I can just rename it Varmints. I can rename it to Critters, and then we can have an actual licensed Critters game. That would be so cool. But I'm a huge Critters fan. 1 and 2, absolutely worth watching. They're so fun. Critters is fun and goofy. That's the point. It's goofy. It's fun. It's not overly serious, and that's why I like it. Is the Critters clip better than the Green Goblin turning people into skeletons? Oh, no. I don't think it's better. I think the Green Goblin turning people into skeletons is one of the best clips in the world. We're going to have to enjoy it. It's close. It's a close second place. Green Goblin turn people into skeletons. Is this it? Hey, Kellen Winslow, good to see you. That's fantastic. Okay, appreciate your work. Have you ever thought about making games for the Xbox? And Critters is fun. Showed all 5 to my niece for October. Nice, awesome. The later ones in the series are not nearly as good as 1 and 2, but I still had fun. I still enjoyed watching them. So, on the Internet Archive, when you mean Xbox, do you mean the modern Xbox? I would, at some point, I would make games for Xbox because people have been asking me. I've been focusing on making Silver Falls games for Nintendo consoles. Silver Falls is a Nintendo exclusive, but that's partly why I also have homebrew Silver Falls games, is then it's the Wild West and I can do whatever I want when it comes to the free homebrew games. But the official Silver Falls games will remain exclusive to Nintendo consoles. But in case you were asking about old Xbox consoles, Xbox 360 SDK, you can get the development kit for the Xbox 360 on Internet Archive. It's Unity, so if you can use Unity, then you can do it. I know that you do need a mod chip, though. I haven't heard of soft mods for the 360, so you need to have an actual mod chip installed on hardware. LOL, I never noticed that. Family-friendly explosions. It's a fast moment, right? Who could truly stop Gremlins' water on Mogwai? They are always, they would always get wet. Who's kidding anyone? I see, that's great, but see, how come Gremlins got a bunch of games? Like Gremlins has the NES game, right? Do they have a Game Boy game, Gremlins? Gremlins on the NES. Gremlins got an NES game, but why not Critters? Critters, I think, should... If Gremlins can get an NES game, I think Critters should have, and I think Tremors should have. So what's up with that? I know of Critters from Pastra. I'm not sure what that is. Series X. Yeah, people have been asking me, so I will. One day I will start bringing games to the Xbox. Gremlins got a game for the Atari? No way. No way. Did they? You can get a development kit for Atari 2600 or an SDK. I have SDK for Atari 2600, so I will be making Atari 2600 games. I would play that That looks cool. That looks cool to me. That looks cool to me. Is this genuine? Is this original? Or is it a homebrew? 84. Cool. Very cool. You should play Funny Pizza Land. I don't know what Funny Pizza Land is. Does the 5200 work? I was going to give a smartass answer. Um, because older consoles do have a tendency to fail. And if you're asking about the controllers for the 5200, no, the 5200 does not work. But that looks so cool. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. If anyone is interested in making Atari games, what is it? Atari. Okay. What is it? No, that's the wrong one. I'd have to find the link, and I could make a video just to focus on it, but you can get the SDK, and it's pretty easy to get started making. Obviously, you have to learn coding and whatnot. That's a lot of entities on screen. I know! That's crazy. Look at all those entities. Let's count them. Hold on. What is it? Okay. Let's count the entities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's just the characters. Then you have the items. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm assuming that's just... There's like 24 entities on screen. That's crazy. What's your favorite lost media? I'm not sure. I guess it would be like the Nick at Night ads that were old and creepy. We won't see again. Ah. Counting is fun. You guys want a sneak peek? Okay, so this is a secret. I haven't told anyone about what I'm working on so much yet, but I'm working on a new section for the channel called Sungran Street. And I'll be using a Muppet that I'm building. And I'll be creating educational videos that are specifically focused on game development. I need to put this, guys. I'm not done, but this will be the Muppet is going to ask questions about game development, and I will answer them. And so that section will be Sungran Street. So I'm still working on this guy, not finished yet, but I think it'll be fun. Where do you get the time? Look, nobody alive really has that much time. Nobody has a lot of time. We all have very limited time, and it's constantly running out. So I don't have a lot of time, but I do as much as I can with the time that has been given to me. It means that I don't sleep a lot, and it means I often sacrifice things like a social life. But it's important to keep balance in mind and try to live a life that you can be proud of, that you can be happy with. I don't rest very much, and I don't sleep that much because I want to accomplish as much as I can. And aside from that, I need to make sure that I have fun and I'm enjoying life as well, that I go out hiking and camping. And I started going fishing earlier this week, and then it started raining heavily. Then I had people with me, so we had to go back home. I'm gonna try fishing again. He must have one of those floating hourglass pickups in his house. When you pick it up, everyone else slows down, and then you get to go fast. Sick power up. I'm just gonna grab one coffee super fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm just going to zip on out of here. Did I resume the music? What music is playing right now? I did. Sorry about that. Vibe was off. Okay, is the music back? Sorry guys, I didn't even realize I paused the music here. Okay, let me go ahead and get out. I'm just gonna grab a coffee really quick. Okay. Hey, cool, cool, cool. I'll check this out. Look at this. Look at this funny cup, right? So, let me get that window out of here. It's got a spot there to look like it's a cartridge slot. And it's funny because you can take a Game Boy cartridge and it does stupid. It's so stupid that it's perfectly flush in there. It's a cookie spot. You're meant to be able to put a cookie in there. Now, when I have a little bit of free time, I'll just make a bunch of square cookies. I'm a big cookie guy. I really enjoy making different cookies. I'll make a bunch of cartridge cookies. Oh, I have those gel frosting pens. That's a fun idea. I should make cartridge cookies. And then I can draw cool graphics on them. And then you have them with your Game Boy mug. Tecmone. Hey, who's talking about Tecmone? Ah, I'm a big Tecmone fan. I really like watching that guy's videos. Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. Because the audience literally love the Muppets more than him. Oh, that's sad. People will always like the Muppets more than they like the humans. Take a bite out of the cartridge. Well, this is really old. Duh. You know, I'm not going to take a bite out of something really old. Favorite cookie? I don't know. It used to... See, I know that... I don't know why people make fun of oatmeal raisin. I just feel like I'm going to get criticism for that. Like in the bad version of our universe where I use Twitter, I would make a... Because I have no interest in social media. But in like the worst version of our reality, I would use Twitter and I would say my favorite cookie is oatmeal raisin, and then I would get canceled because people seem to hate that for some reason. I don't know why. I really love oatmeal raisin, but lately I've really enjoyed the like the gingerbread cookies. Not gingerbread. What are they called? Ginger snaps from Sweden. I like having them with milk during Christmas time. You should. Have you tried making or eating Anzac biscuits? I haven't tried making them. I have tried eating them before. You just dip it in milk, you know, everything's fine. I do enjoy a good Anzac cookie. How many mugs you have? I don't know. I've lost track. Oh. Replacing yourself with a Muppet is one of the best things that you can do. No, my body is so powerful and efficient, I don't actually use the bathroom. I just burn off the energy. The food and drink that I eat, my body's so efficient that it burns it all up, so I don't actually have to use the bathroom. Oatmeal raisin is your personal favorite? Rock on, right here, right here. Let's show them, let's show the world that there's nothing wrong with oatmeal raisin. Jim Henson fulfills on Tolkien's style of creation better than any fantasy work that merely imitates Tolkien's aesthetics. Fraggle Rock is a lesson in comprehensive theme-driven world building. Jim Henson, I think, was a once-in-a-lifetime genius. There will never be anyone else like Jim Henson. There was never anyone like him before. And it is such a disaster for us as a culture to have lost him so soon in his life. And it's sometimes there's a couple people that I think about that it's just so upsetting that they died so young. One is Iwata, and the other is Jim Henson. I think like these people had so much more to contribute to the world. The world would have been better if these people lived longer. David Bowie and Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Oh, I want to watch Labyrinth. I think I've only seen part of it. Minzy421. Hi, Jerrel. Thank you for the vids. It has inspired me. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for watching the videos. Been my lifelong dream to create my own game, and yesterday I started my journey. Excellent. Well done. I'm glad to hear you started your journey. I'm really proud to hear that you've done that. Congratulations and well done to you. Hang in there and work hard and just try to learn as much as you can. It's so exciting and it's so fun. You should make a game about Rudolph and Santa fighting Cyber Snowman during the alternate universe story arc. Kellen Winslow in with a deep lore. So here's the thing, right? So the game framework that I'm working on is this. Let me just restart my capture device because it's lagging. We were having so much fun. So if anyone missed it, I did a video for Christmas where just on the spot, I made up a bunch of lore about Santa's reindeer. And we were having so much fun in the comment section. I was thinking it'd be really funny if I wanted to just keep rolling with that. I could make a game using this framework really quickly, really easily. Just using reindeer as all the graphics for everything. And of course, it'd be very easy to make the visuals and the audio for that. And it would be fun. You could have all the Santa's reindeer be playable. And of course, like the video where we explain the lore, excuse me, there'd be a bunch of different cool abilities. We had so much fun. I'll get the link to the video. I'll put it in the comment section here. If you just give me a second, I'll find it. I'm using the wrong computer, aren't I? I have two open here. That was a fun video. I was treating Christmas as if it were an anime. All right. And just put that in the description. Almost got it here. And it's, you know, I hope by creating this kind of thing, I get to enjoy something fun with people. And that's what I love about media, is you're sharing just something that's fun. All of this stuff is made up. It's just made up. People just made it up. And I want to make sure that the stuff that I make up is just cool to think about and it's fun. So yeah, if you want to watch that video later, this isn't a game. This is a framework. And a framework is basically all of the programming logic that is needed to make a game work. So this will let me make a bunch of different action adventure games. It's scroll up here. My capture card is going a little bit laggy. Whoa. Maybe if I restart my capture card here, just off and on again. Okay. I'm clicking. I'll click on it. There we go. So this is meant to be a very fluid, fast-paced action adventure game framework. It will allow for up to 4 players to play at once. You have activated my trap Christmas card. You mean it's not? No, apparently, no. It was all made up. I hate to burst your bubble. The Christmas anime was made up all on the spot. So this is what I'll be using in the future for a couple of my upcoming games. But again, I would really like to do varmints where you get to explore this environment. So I want to make some visual aesthetics where it looks like a Super Nintendo game, you know, where it has a sort of the frame-by-frame animation or limited frame animation. And I still want to make use of advanced lighting effects and advanced atmospheric effects. But it's a lower resolution, so it's rendering everything in real-time 3D, but it's changing everything so it looks like a Super Nintendo game that's just been souped up like crazy. So I'm thinking I might do that for varmints. Again, it's going to be inspired by critters, where there's just little critters invading a town. You got to fight them. You play as different characters in this family, yeah. For some reason, I had this idea in my mind that David Lynch would have another great work of some kind. He's been retired for a very long time though, huh? Lo-fi 4-player co-op games really started popping off this year. Lethal Company and Content Warning both come to mind. I'm just a massive fan of co-op games, especially if it's couch co-op. You get to hang out with your friends. Like N64 game, yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of the N64 aesthetic. And so I've created a modular character system so I can quickly create a bunch of different kinds of graphics. And it evokes that sense of N64 style because the body parts are sort of disconnected. They're separate meshes. And it has a very specific feel to it. It gives the player a certain feeling, you know? It's not necessarily just nostalgia. There's something more to it. There's that lo-fi element that harkens back to a time that's long past. It makes us think of a time where the world was not so complicated and heated when it came to political issues, and the world was more interested in fun and creativity. That is what this visual style evokes, and that's why I'm using it for a number of my upcoming games. He had so many strange projects that it was never clear what was going to be worth following. That's what, directors, I guess they would refer to him as an auteur. I mean, it's a bit like that, isn't it? You're just driven by the passion and you're not necessarily looking to create something commercially viable. Kentaro Mirua is my favorite mangaka. Yeah, I would say I'm trying to think of a mangaka that has produced multiple works that I like. I mean, I obviously like Tite Kubo, Kishimoto. I feel terrible. I really like the My Hero Academia manga and anime, but I keep forgetting his name. And his work is gorgeous. Oh, man. Horikoshi. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. It's because I didn't read My Hero from the beginning. Like all the other manga that I enjoy, I read from the beginning. And I just jumped in towards the end. That's probably why I don't remember Horikoshi's name. Kohei Horikoshi. His work is just so expressive, and especially the action scenes. He really knows what he's doing. When it comes to fashion, Tite Kubo, there is no mangaka that I think comes even close. So this point is called the teleport point. This is important because it lets you access different scenes. And I'll explain it to you here. I'll click on it here. This green square, it doesn't appear in gameplay. It is only in the editor, but it has this here. So you type in the name of the next scene and you pick a spawn point. A spawn point is a number. That is what allows the characters to appear in different places. So, for example, the character goes to a town, but the town has multiple buildings, and you need the character to spawn in front of the town. You use the spawn point to identify that. If I click on these yellow tiles here, you will see it is an object called spawn position, and the spawn position has a ID number. And that is how you identify where to spawn the player. All right? The spawn ID on this yellow tile here is 2. So if we modify this teleport point and we say we want to use spawn point 2, oh, we have multiple cores though. It's going to freak out. It's not going to work properly because I have multiple cores. So anyway, it would, if I touch that green square, then it would bring me right there. So let me see if I click on this. There's the modifier. Spawn point ID. We'll change that to 2. So we'll go ahead and just grab the player. We'll touch that green spot and it will teleport us to another room, which of course in this case is the same room. But because it duplicated one of the cores, it brought us back to number 1. So, yeah. Have you read Berserk? I haven't read Berserk. I just love Harry Potter. I've only read one Harry Potter book. I watched all the movies. I read the last book. I'll share a little bit. I try not to talk about myself too much on a personal level, but I'll let you know a little bit about the kind of person that I am. I only read the last Harry Potter book. It was right when it launched. And I took the train into Sydney. So I'm riding on the train, and everywhere I look, I would say about 60% of people were reading a Harry Potter book. They were getting caught up on Harry Potter. So they were reading books 2, 3, 4. And I'd gone to the bookshop. I'd picked up the latest, it was the final Harry Potter book. And I've got the Harry Potter book in my hand. I think it'd been out for a couple days. And I'm reading the book. I'm looking around, and I'm seeing people on the train. They're all reading Harry Potter. I slam my book shut, and I say out loud, oh my god, I cannot believe they killed Harry Potter at the end. And you see everyone on the train sat up and turned and looked at me, and they had the most furious look on their faces. Everyone was scowling at me like this. They go, God, man! They slammed their book shut. People were so mad at me. And that's the kind of person I am, so... I know in my videos I present as this professional, you know, a very reserved person, but that's who I really am. That's the kind of person I am. Sorry to break your heart, but the creator of Rurouni Kenshin is a horrible person. Ah, that's a bummer. That's evil. That's like screaming bingo when you didn't... No, that's evil. Screaming bingo when you didn't win. That's actually evil. I would like to see what a custom Doom map would look like if you made one. Oh, I've wanted to do that for a while. That'd be fun, because there are programs that make that pretty easy, huh? A troll, are you? I just like having a laugh. Being a laugh. Oh no, John Lasseter's a pretty bad dude, right? You're making a video, it's a little different, right? What do you mean? No, I wouldn't say bingo if I didn't have bingo. That, you know, there's rules to society. And I'll show you this here. This is in the hierarchy. I'm clicking on this here. This is called the core. I basically have a core in every single one of the games that I make, unless I'm like speedrunning it and it just needs to be some small thing. Now there's two elements, or two components to my core. There is the script called the core and the game manager. The core basically holds all of the database information. It holds the information for the characters, the weapons, the actions, skills, items. It holds the names for the switches, which are the Boolean values. So say, for example, you know, talked to guy, you know, you can keep track of values, true or false. The core holds immutable data. This is information. These are values that should not be changed at any time. That is the core. This can be accessed. It can be referenced by any object. It is not destroyed on scene load. And the second other important component is called the game manager. The game manager contains the game state. It is the information that allows your gameplay session to be unique. And so the most important part, I store all the important data here in savable data. Savable data contains elements like hero in party. The hero in party has things like the EXP, the different level for their stats, the equipment that they have, the amount of items that each character possesses. So this is all the data that is changeable. This is stuff that is your game state. And so those are two components. And again, this can be referenced by any other object. This is how the objects are able to access, like if they need information about the weapon that your character has equipped, it gets that information. If we click on crowbar, then it will find the information. It'll say, this is the graphics, here's the stats, the animations. So that's all that stuff. This is a huge part of how my games work. So yeah, like it's getting a bit warm and I'll grab lunch. We'll hang out a bit. We'll just hang out and chat. And yeah, we'll wrap up stream in a little bit. But this has been really fun just hanging out with everyone. Can I say that I have Bing? I'm going to be honest, you're going to be judged a little bit harshly that you use Bing. We're in the Goblin's Land. Snape killed Kirk with Rosebud. Vince, when you're professional in your videos, important in getting points across. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I just want my videos to be helpful. The professional one, I want them to be helpful in some way. John Lasseter has done nothing wrong. He was accused of harassment, but that's only because he's the kind of guy who likes to hug people and is very outgoing. It turns people off. Oh no, so he was sort of had his reputation destroyed unfairly. Is that what happened? Thank you for calling out people like David Jaffe for just saying nonsense. I hope that I'm not contributing to, you know, online negativity. And I hope that with my videos, what I'm doing is I'm dispelling that negativity and I'm explaining to people that, okay, we've identified something that this is bad behavior, this is wrong, and we don't need to feed into it. We don't need to reward bad behavior, and we don't need to copy bad behavior. That's my intention when I address things that I see that are happening that are, you know, negatively affecting our entertainment industries and our culture. What type of guitars do you own? I actually don't own that many guitars, but there's like 16, no, there's like 18 banjos here in my studio with me. You guys want to, this is good. I'm going to show you guys a secret. Are you ready for a secret? No one's ever seen this. And I don't think I'll do this often, right? But it's because you've asked. Behind this green screen, there are some instruments. Oh, there's some suits back there, some suits and ties. This is what's actually behind the green screen. So you've asked about guitars. Darth Vader is Princess Leia's father. Yeah, absolutely. Ben Sweeney, you're definitely reminding me to not feed into drama, honestly. And it's easy to get wrapped up into it because as how our culture works, how society works, is we all kind of agree on something and then we move along with it. That's how it works. And so, you know, you can't blame people for going along with what everyone else is doing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how we survive. How did you get so talented with musical instruments? From Scotty Boy. I appreciate that. I'm actually not talented. So there's a difference between talent and skill. Talent is something that you're born with, right? You don't really get to pick your talent. It's part of your genetics. Skill is something that is cultivated. You develop skill. If you have a lot of talent, it makes it so much easier to develop skill. You can reach higher levels of skill and you can develop your skill faster if you have a high amount of talent. I do not have a lot of talent when it comes to music, so I have to work extremely hard. I have to put in way more effort than someone who has a high level of talent. This is one of the guitars that I own. If I play it, the microphone has a noise reduction, so it's not going to pick it up, but I'll just strum it anyway. Ah. Is that coming through? I need to sit down with it. This is standard guitar. There are 18 strings on this guy. There's sort of a harp here, G to G, 1 octave. This is a harp guitar. And then these are your bass strings. Yeah. That is one of my favorite guitars. 317, what is your favorite meme? It's gonna be Captain America. I understood that reference. Or he's not Steve Rogers. He's Steve Rogers. He's not Captain America in that scene. He's Steve Rogers in that scene because you know, I love that. That's my favorite meme. Is I get that reference. Yeah. So yeah, this is just a cool instrument. What kind of guitar do you have? Yes. All right. All right. I need a second to just sort of pack this up. I'll just put this. Hold on. Right back there. Hey, McKinney Draws. Oh, man, I've been watching your work. I've been checking it like every day. Oh, your work is really great, man. Really fantastic. I've been watching your work, really enjoying it. McKinney Draws. You guys, McKinney Draws, if you like seeing cool artwork, I recommend checking out his work. His channel is awesome. Thanks for that. Can I click on that? How do I click on it? Can we... Go to channel. What happens if I click on that? McKinney Draws. Oh. Yeah, I really enjoy watching your posts. Your work is so cool, man. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Guys, check out McKinney Draws channel. Sonny Rivers, I'm a guitar geek. Gotta love the sound of stringed instruments. Same, I think we could have a good long, yeah, we could have a burger and a root beer and just talk shop. I'm a huge instrument fan, stringed instruments. I'm a huge fan of all that stuff. I really enjoy building custom instruments where I think of an idea and I think, oh, there doesn't seem to be an instrument like that. I'd like to make one. I also thought it was cool that people like Crab from Side Scrollers and Asmongold have talked about your videos. It feels weird. It feels weird to me because I don't like attention. I don't. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm not good at marketing my games is I dislike attention. So it feels weird to me when people have talked about my videos because in my brain I'm kind of in denial about it. I just sort of don't process it. Is the stream skipping? Is the stream all right? I'm not sure if the stream is all right at the moment. It looks weird from my end over here. Have you considered making your own equal temperament, like an alternate tuning system? I like doing that for alien music. I haven't. That's such an interesting thought. I haven't done that, but that is really cool. Because I have so many instruments, I have a wide range of banjo, mandolin, guitar, zithers. I have a bunch of antiques. I don't get to experiment much with alternate tunings because I have to keep things playable in a way that I can access it quickly. Balatheria, found you through Asmon. I'm glad I did. Your vibe and games keep me here. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are here. It's honestly just kind of sucked a little bit being a game developer because I don't get to hang out with people that much and talk to people that much with my work. It's a lot of sitting down and working. And so this has just been really cool, just hanging out with people. So I'm not sure if the stream is stuck. Is the stream still cool? I'm just going to ask here. Because from my end, it's sort of reporting that it's frozen. I'm not sure what the deal is. That's fine? Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah. They have all been very positive about your professional approach. Oh, that's cool. I'll show you. This is one of my favorite instruments. I finished this a couple of weeks ago. This is a dulcimer banjo. It's a mountain dulcimer, but it's got a banjo body. And again, the microphone has noise reduction. And it's got this peg box from violin. I normally don't do this much work. Like I normally don't do all the finish and whatnot, but I was having so much fun sitting outside. I like to sit in my front yard and do woodworking, playing instruments. And so I was sat in my front yard and I was just working on this, and it was really fun working on this. I made it specifically for my upcoming game, Grandpa's Playing Banjo in Space. This is one of my favorite projects that I've done. Can you tap? If you tap really hard. So what can't you do? There's so much stuff that I want to learn. People ask me about that, and I don't feel that way about myself. I don't feel like I have a lot of skills. I feel like I don't have enough. For me, the way that I see it, there's so many interesting things about the world. There's so many cool things out there to learn about, to figure out, to see, to experience. There's so many interesting people to meet. There are so many different cultures and subcultures to experience and learn about. And for me, it feels like I am not nearly smart enough. I am not nearly knowledgeable enough. I need to learn more about the world. I need to learn more skills. That is how I feel about myself personally. So I feel weird and honestly a little bit uncomfortable when people compliment me on that, because I don't feel like I have enough skills. There's just so many cool things in the world, and I want to learn as much as I can. I want to see and do as much as I can. And that, I guess that's why it seems like I have so many different skills, is I just find the world very interesting. It is so cool out there. Oh, appreciate that, Gerpity Glurpson. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Best Dev, I hope other devs learn a lot from you. I have a feeling I might have been saying your name wrong. I think I thought maybe there was an L in Glurpity, but I see now it is Gerpity. Ben Sweeney, I 100% relate to. You get it, right? Like, there's so many cool things in the world. It's really interesting out there. That's part of the reason why I don't use the internet that much. I don't use social media, is I understand that doing that, it takes up a lot of your time. And it's not necessarily people's fault. It's just how your brain reacts to stimulus and information. Your brain sees information on the internet the way that we are. The internet is designed to exploit us and our attention span. So it's not people's fault for getting stuck on the internet. But I've recognized that if I were to sort of get stuck on the internet, I probably wouldn't have the time that I have to go out and try new things and learn new things. And there's still so much that I want to learn and do, you know? This is a banjo that I finished recently. I just used off-the-shelf parts, but it's a kind of banjo that doesn't exist. Nobody makes this. This is a Mandocello banjo. I built it specifically for my game soundtracks, especially Grandpa's Playing Banjo in Space. This is an 8-string banjo. It is tuned CGDA like a cello, so it is a banjo Mandocello. Oh yeah, Gerpity, I know you're the one making Mega Man. And of course, it's not tuned. I don't have a tuner on hand at the moment, but I can make a video and share it and do an actual recording. But yeah, I finished this maybe, I don't know, three weeks ago. It's nice to take a break from programming and build an instrument every now and then, just to step away from the computer. Yeah, Sick, you like baritone? I don't have a baritone guitar. I would like one. Dead WTX Sky. Do you have a video of making these things? I have some, but here's the lowest on this that you can hear. Yeah, I hope you guys like the sound of that. And I specifically built it because I wanted that deep rumble. That is not something that banjos typically have. And this is CGDA. It's basically as low as a banjo will want to go. And you might think, well, what about a banjo bass? Give me a second. All right, this is my bass banjo. It's fretless. I got the neck part from someone who had factory defects. It comes from, so this neck comes from Goldtone. Goldtone is an excellent brand. My policy is I don't take brand sponsorships because I feel that is taking advantage of people. It's a betrayal of trust. People trust you if you happen to be a public figure. And you say buy this thing, you're basically taking advantage of someone's trust. So I don't, I don't feel negatively about other people that do that because that's how they're earning money through their work. And as long as they're respectful to their audience and their supporters, it's not a big deal. But for me personally, I'm not comfortable taking sponsorships. But if I got an ad sponsorship from Goldtone, the music company, that is the one company I would take an ad sponsorship from because I feel so strongly about their instruments. I'm a huge fan of Goldtone. So I got the neck and then I did everything else, but it's fretless. I really wanted the gold colored machinery, but I couldn't find it. I'm not sure if this is coming through because of the noise reduction. So it's deep. It's not that great, honestly, because the pot should be like a 14-incher. This one's only 11. It's almost piano-like. Hey, you're right. Yeah. VegCon, hi. Nice to see you. We're actually wrapping up here pretty soon because it's sweltering in my studio. I've been here a few hours and I don't have air conditioning in here. Yeah, you're right. It does have sort of a woody sound, isn't it? So, yeah, banjos are my favorite instruments to customize and build because there's so much you can do with them, and they just got a cool sound. Maybe I came up with the idea of grandpas playing banjo in space because I wanted an excuse to keep building more banjos. Hey, it may be an excuse, but it's a good excuse. How about Musier? What is that? Listen to Hawkwind. I think I've listened to Hawkwind before. I think a friend lent me a Hawkwind album, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not sure. Yeah, banjos is it might be my favorite family of instruments because there's so much you can do with it. People were making jokes and laughing the other day about the tiniest violin. So sometimes what I'll do when I'm playing a show somewhere and I'm doing a demo of different instruments is I'll take out the biggest case I have, set it on stage, and I'll make it seem like I'm going to reveal a huge instrument. You'll have to pretend that this is a big case, and then I'll go like this, and I'll pick it up, and then I'll reveal this. And this is a pochette. It's a violin that fits in your pocket, a pochette. And it was designed for old-time dance instructors that would travel around, and then they would teach dances, and they would play, fiddle tunes. It's so hard to play. It's not in tune. This thing doesn't stay in tune. It's kind of in tune. I'll just do a little bit just so you can hear the sound, but if you'd like, I can do a video and show it off a little bit. You'd have to tune it, yeah. I would like to replace the tuning pegs that have fine tuners built in because it's quite... Who put my cello through the wash? It's cold only. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times again. Cold wash. I knew a dude in school who had one kind of like that. Yeah, these are so cool. Yeah, they sit down here. You don't hold them up here. You sit them down there and you play them like that. Warrior on the Edge of Time. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna look that up after the stream. Warrior on the Edge of Town. Cool. Oh, I like the artwork of that. Nice. You know who I listen to a lot is, I was a while ago. Right now I'm listening to other stuff, but I was listening to Rainbow with Dio for a while. Ronnie James. Warrior on the... Look at the artwork on that. That is cool. Bella Fleck. Bella Fleck collaborates with a Goldtone, I think, maybe? Yeah, Bella Fleck, good banjo player. Great music. It reminds me of a Croatian mandolin, but we could only afford one string. Strings are... Oh man, I have a lot of instruments, and it's tough because I have to pick which ones I want to replace the strings on. Yeah, I'm happy to take recommendations for music. I like listening to all kinds of different stuff. Genesis album, selling England by the pound. I do play the violin. Oh, I don't have my proper violin here with me. I'll just grab it really quick. I'll have to step out of the studio. I'll be right back. 1 second. I taught myself violin specifically so I could use the instrument for my game soundtracks. So I didn't have any lessons. I'm totally self-taught on all these instruments. But it was specifically so I could play in my game soundtracks. I'm going to switch microphones now. Let me see how that works out here. Can I switch microphones without messing things up? Give me a second to switch mics. Doesn't look like any. Hello? Is that coming through? Is this coming through? Okay, so I need to add some filters now. So noise reduction, because that noise suppression. I think you can get some reverb in there. Okay, I will fix that. Thank you. And gain. All right, how is that? Can you hear me now? Is that loud? Is it okay? How about now? Super echo. Okay, let's go ahead and turn down the reverb. I think the reverb is too powerful. Here we go. Thanks, guys. Okay. Is it less, is the reverb acceptable now, or is it too much? Okay. Yes, we're in an auditorium. Rock concert? No. Okay. What I really love doing is, okay, I'll go back to normal mic. This guy, 1 2 1 2. What I really love doing is going and hanging out at pubs. I go to a bunch of different pub sessions, and I play with music clubs, Irish clubs, and we'll just play a bunch of music. The patrons get to hang out and sing along with songs. I love doing old-timey tunes, and it just relaxes people. I used to play music at a cancer hospital with a friend of mine, and we played old-time tunes. It just cheered people up when they were doing their cancer treatments, and their family and the friends were there. And we did that for a while. But regularly I go to pubs. People are out having drinks and eating their dinner, and it's me with, you know, my music clubs, and we're playing music. It's fiddle, it's old-time tunes. What I love is hopping in my car, finding old gold mining towns and hanging out at saloons, you know, and just playing music, and then the locals, and we're just hanging out and singing. And yeah, I've been playing the violin for about 3 years now. And I'm entirely self-taught. And I taught myself because I wanted to record music for my games. So I use the fiddle in Silver Falls and whatnot. And yeah. I know it's tough. When you have family and friends, and you're going through cancer treatments, it feels impossible, and it feels like the world is just against you. And even a small moment of hope, of just respite for just a moment, it makes a big difference. Yeah. Yeah, just Monday night, I was at a session. 2 nights ago, there's a session in near Sydney that is just the coolest session. I posted a little bit of that. I can post more videos of it, but it's got the best. Oh, it's just this beautiful old pub, all this old timber, and we play lots of great songs, and the locals sing along to old Irish songs. I play the fiddle there. But you know, I don't want to advertise for drinking, you know, and the consumption of alcohol. It's not a big deal as long as you do it responsibly. But there's a tab there for us who play music at the Fiddler Hotel. There is a tab. I'll enjoy, you know, I'll enjoy a drink or two responsibly. I'll play a little bit more. How about that? What venue have the best acoustics? It's not really about the best acoustics when it comes to venues. It's who will let you play there and who has the patrons that aren't violent. I'll do a little bit more music. How about that? Okay, we're good? Bro, I'm Huckleberry Finn just floating down the Mississippi right now. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. So yeah, to me it's important to be able to play music in a live environment. Partly because it's about... Let me put my normal mic back on. To me, it's important to be able to play music in a live environment like that because it is about understanding people and it's about communication. In those environments, you have to see your audience, and it's not about playing whatever music you want. It's about playing what your audience wants to hear. It's about what will give them the vibe that they're looking for, what will make them happy that you're playing music there. You'll see people who don't really understand music will just play whatever they want and the audience just checks out. You know, like the other patrons, they just don't want to hear the music. So for me, it's important that I go to these places because it gives me the opportunity to see people, to try to understand, okay, what do these people want to hear in terms of music. I'll play some songs, I connect with those people, and I'm able to create something that they want. And to me, that is a skill that you need in game development. You don't just make whatever you want in game development because you want to lecture people on politics. You make something because it is something that people want to believe in. It's something they want to experience. And so that's why I spend so much time going out to places, especially places I've never been before, so I can play music for people, because it gives me that opportunity. It's basically training to understand people, to communicate with people. And if I can't make music that people will like just on the spot, then there's no way that I could make a video game that people would like. So that's how I view it anyway. Nice railroad imagery. I'm building a settlement in Boston, fighting off super mutants. I'll show you this thing. I gotta wrap up because it's getting really warm in here. I mean, I could play this next time. But this is one of my favorite instruments. It's pretty old-timey. It's called an auto harp. One of my favorite instruments to play. I mean, I could just pluck on it really quickly, but the mic's going to bump on the thing. It'll be unpleasant, isn't it? If you could only play 2 games for the rest of your life, what would you pick? Oh, Smash Bros. Ultimate and... Oh, man. Yeah, this is such a difficult question. I don't know why you would ask such a mean question like that. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Final Fantasy VII. I'll pick that. Is there a semi-auto harp? Well, they make semi-auto harps, but legally you have to remove the mechanism that makes it a semi-auto. So otherwise you just have this. It's not tuned up, and it's, again, the microphone isn't designed to pick that up. It has a noise reduction. Clipping hard. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, I could do a video at some point, but an instrument like this needs to have audio set up ahead of time, and that's why, you know, I can't just sort of drop it on there. It's such a specific instrument. But this is one of my favorite ones that people really enjoy. When I travel around and go on road trips and end up at saloons, this is ones that people really likes to hear and sing along to. Yeah, stand. All right, everyone, it's been great hanging out. It's absolutely sweltering in the studio, and I have the studio lights, I have multiple computers. So I'm gonna grab myself lunch now, have something to eat, and then I'm gonna I'm going to have this totally production ready by tonight, and I'm gonna start the graphics and the heads-up display for my next game. I'm going to do a free homebrew version. It'll be available on some platforms, especially the Vita. 100% it's coming to the Vita because I'm just a huge Vita fan, but it will come to other consoles like the Switch and Steam as well. Lunch, where are you located? I'm near Sydney in Australia. I've got prawns waiting for me in the fridge. Yeah. It's been awesome. It's been really fun. Hey, Rashad Z, good to see you. All right, it's been awesome, everyone. It's been so much fun hanging out. I have those tabs open. I'm going to check out the music and the movies that you guys recommended. Thank you, everyone. All right, have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, check the stuff on itch.io. Have fun. See you, everyone. Be well. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun, everyone. We'll see you in the next stream. Have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.